big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Brought to you exclusively on Kiss FM by J. Michael. Fashion for everyone. Happy Friday, Sandy. Welcome back.
Hello. Happy Friday. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
All right.
Yes, very, very good.
How was the economic summit yesterday?
Yes, it was so educational. I learned a lot. I was taking notes and recording, and yes, very, very good. Excellent.
Cool. Good.
Yeah, lots of things going on in the world in terms of the economy. So you got to try to keep up a little bit.
Yeah.
So in local news, oh gosh, so much going on. So first of all, the sargassum is back.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. There's a big mass of it that is traveling around the Caribbean already. I saw someone post pictures locally, so I guess we'll get our fair share of that yet again. No idea really what the solution is for this, because it's a much bigger problem than just,
we got to figure out how to eat it.
Yeah.
I remember
Fertilizer.
Chef Thomas Tennant did something at one of the food festivals where he did a dish with sargassum.
He would.
And
he's really good at trying to use,
I've never seen anybody else do it, and he never did it again. So I don't know.
I don't know.
It probably didn't work out too well.
Chef Thomas Tennant is going to be doing some stuff at the lighthouse.
Okay.
So, anyways, I'm excited
with seaweed?
No, but I'm excited that because that's a nice restaurant. I'm excited that we get to get that back.
Listen, we eat seaweed salad, when you go to a sushi restaurant. Why not sargassum salad?
I don't know. I think it will be better as fertilizer. Okay, y'all.
Yeah. Congratulations to Health City Cayman Islands, who just opened their new radiation oncology facility yesterday morning. It's the first phase of a 70,000 square foot modern state-of-the-art medical facility. It was actually dedicated to the late Jean Thompson, and there was not a dry eye in the house. Yeah, heard it was really, really nice. Coffee. Is that her name? Yes, this young lady, reggae artist, was involved in an altercation aboard an American Airlines flight from Kingston to Miami Thursday afternoon. And of course, because of her celebrity status, this caught the news all over the world. So this young lady is trending this morning. There was something later on in the day that said that she had calmed down afterwards, but basically she attempted to use the restroom in first class, although she was seated in economy class, and was refused entry by a flight attendant, and that led to an altercation between her and the stewardess. Yeah,
right.
You got it.
I will get you on the banned list.
I know. Use the right restroom. Okay, those are some of your news headlines this morning.
All right. Kid Sandy, right now on Bobo 89.1 FM. I'm sure it'll be a good one this morning, Sandy, right?
Yes, sir. We're all ready.
We'll see you. We'll see you Monday.
All right, guys. Have a good one. All right. Happy Friday, beautiful people. I'm back.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's community radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman,
Live, direct.
it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right, my people. Happy Friday. Rise and shine. Everybody, you guys look like you're moving a little bit slow today. I do notice some days you're a little bit late to get up in the mornings. And hey, it's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Seems that you guys are moving a little bit slow this morning, but it happens. I understand. I feel you. I feel your pain some mornings as well. But we got to get it. We got to go to work. This is a job, folks. Let's just get it. Get up and be happy and thankful. And what can I say? Young lady, I can't listen on air. Why do people like to send me voice notes when I'm on air? Yeah. Too late already. All right. So we got a lot to talk about. And of course, I have to first start off the program this morning with an apology because, what can I say? On Wednesday, so yesterday, most of you would have noticed that I was not on air live. I try to give them, sometimes if I'm not here, I will give them content to play in my absence so that you guys can, still get to enjoy some things that are happening in the community. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I've got coming up for you. I think it's really important to keep you guys abreast of, we've got our Cayman Voices segment, but we've got other things that we are, live streaming and recording and so on. So just want to make sure that you guys are completely up to speed with everything. But yes, I wasn't here. A lot of you were messaging me to say, Sandy, did you decide to go have breakfast with George? So I need to update you guys on the whole George situation. But before I provide an update, let me first provide an apology, because when I called George on Wednesday, I had no idea that the conversation was going to go, my God, I don't even know what to call that. Far left field, right? It was difficult to control him. And it's not even about control, but it was just difficult to get a word in edgewise and to really explain to him the purpose of my call. And at some point I recognized that unless I just allowed him to speak, we were going to get absolutely nowhere. So I allowed George to speak, and George had a lot to say. It was very, very interesting, to say the least. Some of it comical, but at the end of the day, George definitely went overboard. So my apologies for the use of his colorful language. And we obviously do not encourage profanity in this program. Not only do we not encourage it, we ask people not to use it. If you call into the show, we're all human being, and we might make one little word slip, but he made more than one word slip. So we just want to remind people that this is a family-friendly show for the most part, and we really, really encourage you to, not use certain words, because we have young minds and other people, old minds too, that might be listening, that would be highly offended by some of the use of the language. So my apologies to anybody who listened and was offended by the language. It was just, I was trying to remember if I have a button on here. I was actually thinking about this afterwards. If I have a button on here where I can try to buzz people, and I don't even know. I do have one that says censor. Let me see what it sounds. Yeah, but I kind of have to know that it's coming. And to be honest, it was I was trying to follow. It was like a stream of consciousness conversation. So it was actually really, really difficult for me to follow it. And then, of course, I wasn't anticipating the way the conversation went, or even the words that he was dropping on me. But I do see, do have a censor button there. So I guess I got to keep my hand on the pulse of that, just in case it's needed. But my God, what a show. So many of you have reached out since that show, saying that you're not sure that I'll ever be able to top that show in terms of, I guess some sort of entertainment value. I don't know. But I want you guys to be reminded of the fact that George is a human being. Nobody's perfect. And I think that, I've said it before, and I don't shy away from having these discussions, because I think that what we need to do is we need to normalize the conversations that we have around mental health. And so there's nothing wrong with, if you have a mental health issue, saying, hey, I suffer from depression, I'm bipolar. We need to normalize that here in Cayman, because I still feel like there's this stigma around even saying #me too and just admitting it. I'm a narcissist. I know you narcissists will never admit it. That's a whole other category of classification. But, there's no shame in saying that you're struggling with these things. I think what happens a lot here, though, is that people go, my apologies, an entire lifetime suffering from something like this, and they don't even know, they don't recognize it themselves, and people around them maybe they don't recognize it either. Because, I think there was a time when you grew up and people were like, she just crazy, but you don't understand that what you're defining as just crazy is actually a diagnosable situation. And more importantly, something that you can get help for. There are medications that can help. And there's therapy that can help. And so I always want to encourage people, if there's help to be had, there's help to be sought, you have to first recognize that you need the help and reach out to the competent and relevant authorities or individuals to give you that help. Now, I think for a lot of you, the show was very insightful, because you probably never quite heard a conversation like that and really, really listened to it. And there was so much that he said that was like wrapped into it that I was, in my brain, I was in real time trying to unpack what he was saying so that I could respond appropriately. And then on top of that, since then, that little recording that I have in my head has been replaying segments of what he said to try to really understand some of it, but I can't be too invested in it as well, if you know what I mean, right? So he upped the ante a little bit after the show. He said he'll take me to Tilly's instead of Casanova's. I don't know if that's supposed to be a better option. I'd probably prefer Casanova's, to be honest, for lunch, but anyway. And I still refused. And then he said that it was an open invitation. He actually called me Wednesday night, insisting I accept his invitation. He seems to have a hard time understanding the word NO. And I still said, no, thank you. I'm not interested. We won't be going. Well, you can go, but I'm not going. You can go by yourself. And then he asked me to unblock him. He said, one final request. Will you unblock me and add me back to the friend list or something like that? And of course, I said no. So, yeah. This is the thing, right? You can choose in life who so this request, please unblock me, smile, last friendship request. No, I can't unblock you. You can choose in life who you want to. You have a choice. And you can choose who you want to interact with, right? And it's really, really important to set boundaries with a particular type of person. And so somebody said, I knew he broke you down. Admit that you probably went to breakfast with him yesterday. No, honey child. But I'm going to tell you about the food at the Kimton. The food at the Kimton was actually really good yesterday. But yeah, all I can say is you set boundaries. Even with family members, you guys know I'm really, really big on setting boundaries when it comes to my own mental health and protecting myself. Because not every relationship, not every friendship, not every acquaintance, not every person is good for you. And you have to make that determination, right? So that's why I found it so peculiar when George said, You trigger me. And I'm like, how the hell do I trigger you? We don't have a relationship. I mean, I couldn't even tell you. The last time I saw George was at Cocoa Fest, and I didn't even speak to George. So we don't have that kind of relationship where I should be a person that has any degree of power over you to trigger you. And that's what happens is y'all give people power to be able to trigger you. And so I don't even know what that means, George, but you shouldn't give me that power. I don't know why or how I trigger you, honey child, but take that power back for yourself, because I know I don't give people the power to trigger me. Right? And so, you know, it is something that I think in life we have to gain some control over. And if you're in your late 50s, early 60s, whatever that age gap is, and you haven't yet learned self-control, self-regulation, it's kind of time maybe for some. I mean, maybe it's too late already. I don't know, but I don't believe that it's ever too late. Once you have breath in you, you can always change, and you can always be open to adapting a new method of thinking and new things that can help you be a better person. And so, you know, there's some very serious conversations kind of mixed in there, but he talked about every and anything. I mean, he was all over the place, all over the place. So he said that he was glad that he got to say it and everything he said was true. And, you know, he said a lot about off-reg. Of course, the people who sit on the council with him, I know some of them, and they're like, Sandy, his version of events is so one-sided and nowhere near what actually happened. Marshall says there was no conversation. He was just rambling about nothing at all. He's a sick man. Well, people who sit on the council say that we have no clue how bad the situation got. And this was not a person who was just dedicated to the people and their cause, as he thinks is the situation. But this was someone who was impossible to work with. And they said, if we were to tell you what really went down, it wouldn't be over lunch. We'd have to do it over drinks, and it would be hard liquor because we so stressed out from having to deal with George. And I was like, damn, that sounds like a hot mess. So, you know, everybody has their own viewpoint and perspective of when and how something happens. What I can tell you is nobody else on that council shares his opinion of what he was trying to do and what was really going on. And in addition to that, Off-Reg certainly does not share his opinion either. The management of Off-Reg essentially asked him to resign. You know, they were just not seeing eye to eye at all. So I guess it is what it is, but I just wanted to really convey my apologies for the language, which was inappropriate. And, you know, I don't even know. Beyond that, I just set healthy boundaries, people. You got to be able to say no to people and keep them on the outskirts of your life. For me, it's pretty easy because I'm a very firm person. When I say no, I do mean no. And he said to me, and it's funny because in his conversation, when he was asking me yet again, after I'd said no numerous times, he says, you're hard like nail. You know that, Sandra? And I said, well, I think you know that already. First of all, that shouldn't mean anything new. And I said, hard when needed. Capiche? Yes, I'm hard as nails when needed. Oh my goodness. You know the people that you know what I'm soft with? I'm soft with children. Because children, they're not there yet. They haven't had 60 years plus of dealing with the world and hard knocks and, you know, developing all these personalities of them. They're still emerging. And so if there's anybody that I have time for and that I can be soft with, it's definitely children, dogs, animals in general, and elderly people. I'm really soft with elderly people. I got a soft spot in my heart for those three categories. Anybody who's, I guess, special needs, for sure. But beyond that, I just have to be very direct with you and tell you what it is. So Alejandro says he was too much familiar attitude with her, like they were old pals. Wasn't sure if he was clear that he was on air. So let me clarify that point, because I was trying to tell George that he was live and on air, and because he refused to let me talk and really get in much of a word edgewise, the only time I was able to really say much of anything is when I said to him, stop using profanity. And you heard every single time he said it something, I asked him to please stop. Don't use that word, no cursing. And that's precisely why. And then at one point he used a derogatory word to describe, or member of the LGBTQ plus community. And I said, George, please don't use that word. It's offensive and you cannot use that word. And it's interesting that he thinks that he has to be a member of the homosexual community in order to, I wasn't understanding what he was saying, because the allegations around sexual harassment are what they are. And his position seems to be that, he's just a man, so therefore he has no self-control. And this is a little bit disturbing, because this is what I hear, through the grapevine with men who have no self-control. They will say things like that. And I do think that it is really unfortunate when a man believes that because he's a man, he doesn't have any self-control. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't understand really and truly what that means. So, you guys have control, men. I don't know how you were brought up in a society where you think that you just can go around and if a woman looks good, that means that you have no control over your sexual desire to have her, to interact with her. And that's hogwash. It really, really is hogwash. You need to learn self-control. You're in your 60s, dude. It's like, come on now. At what age? Miss Morna says, not today, Bobo. Still have a headache from yesterday. It wasn't even yesterday. It was Wednesday. So this is why it's so important that we retrain and retool our young men. Because I think men of a particular age and generation definitely grew up believing that they have no self-control over their bodies, apparently, or their minds or their actions. And that's a very dangerous situation. You should never be a HR manager or a consultant and not understand that there's certain behaviors that are off limits, and there's certain individuals that are off limits. This is the very definition of sexual harassment. And I'm shocked that any professional who is providing those services to companies would not understand that even if they were interested in someone that worked in one of these companies and the other person was legitimately interested in them, you should never in a million years engage in that kind of relationship. There's like a understanding. And in a lot of places around the world, it's policy and it's been codified, where if you're somebody's supervisor or you act in a supervisory role over them or controlling or management role, under no circumstances do you in your head ever entertain a relationship with them, even if it was consensual, even if you were single, which I don't think that was the case here, but you don't in a million years entertain it. It's inappropriate. It's like the teacher-student relationship. Teachers should never, not even in a university setting, be having feelings, projecting any kind of sexual desire towards their students, right? School administrators, all that. It should not be something that is done. And if you're a professional, by God, you should know this. KK says, sounds like a real idiot. I'm sorry for the people that have to encounter him. Gosh, it was an eye opener, even for me. I must say that this was probably the lengthiest conversation I've ever had with George, believe it or not. It wasn't really much of a conversation. It was a one-way dialogue most of the time. Someone just says, as the saying goes, don't where you eat. I'm going to start using that button a lot. So somebody use a better description. You get like George now. Which description is that? I don't know what statement that one. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. So anyway, it was an unusual show for sure. Good morning to Charlotte joining us from Scotland. C. Ebanks says, good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Cayman. Please remember it's Friday, St. Patrick's Day. Remember to be safe on the road and don't drink and drive. Yes, it is St. Patrick's Day. I should wear something green today, right? So I don't know. It's not often that I'm left speechless, but sometimes I legitimately am left with no more to say. Now, I've seen a lot of the memes going on. Big shout out to Cayman Waste. Is it called Cayman Waste? Wasteman. They have taken to Instagram and they have made a number of memes from Wednesday's show. It's funny, I gotta admit. Also, Cayman, Curtis Memes has done a few as well. Yes, Cayman Waste. They have one. I'll show you guys this one. The other ones you'll have to go and have a look at for yourself. But this one is PG rated and funny. Let me just see here. So they have one that says, one second. I'll show you guys this one. So you guys are funny. I don't know where you get the energy to do these memes, but I'm here for it. I think they are funny. So here's one that says, this is Cayman Waste. And it says, me waking up this morning and realizing it's still not Friday. And they have me like holding my head from Wednesday's show. But today is Friday, so that's good news. Aliana says, it's an issue with us men here in Cayman that we fail to grasp our importance and over-exaggerate beyond the point of no return. Yes, there was a degree of self-importance that struck me as peculiar when he said things like, oh, if you come to lunch with me, we can take a picture and then we'll post that up on social media and it's going to be your most popular post and, you'll be trending and I'll be trending or whatever. And I was like, wow, this is so not what this is about. But I did feel it necessary to have the conversation in public because everything else had been done in public. So why are we going to go sit down and have lunch behind closed doors? And, then just post something up and leaving you all to wonder what really transpired. No, we're all about transparency around here, honey chow. Very much so. We are going to be transparent. Discussing language to talk with people. Yeah. And, it's like, I don't know. Listen, if you and I, even if you don't know me, you understand that, I've said my mouth don't join church. And there are times when maybe colorful language is appropriate. But you have to be in a certain zone with me, I feel like, to even use certain words with me and describe things in a particular way. Does that make sense? And if we haven't gotten there, and I definitely am not in that kind of a close proximity to George, I don't expect you to use that language with me in any event. My gosh, at least I've gone to lunch with me 2 times before you want to start using all these words that I need to use in the button for. Come on now. So it was bizarre. It was really quite bizarre. But please, men, I don't care how old or young you are, check your way of thinking when it comes to women and how you interact with them and what you may think is appropriate. Right? Because a lot of times it isn't. And when you have a woman contacting a lawyer, you better believe that she's offended by your behavior. And the woman called in and told us that they were in court. Apparently, well, all court documents are public, so I don't know what that means. But apparently, she has them in court. She says that Treats didn't show up because they're a party to this. They were the employer at the time, and apparently they didn't show up to court. So they have to reschedule it. So she'll keep us updated on what's going on there. But you know, this woman did not appreciate she did not appreciate what transpired. And she said that, in fact, despite his allegations about her behavior, none of that ever happened. She complained to her employer. She complained to a lawyer about it. And I can't remember if she complained to the police or not, but she definitely complained to a number of people. Let me see. So, and she's just confirming that that this is a court matter now as well. And to be quite honest, right? Even if a subordinate, and this is where, you know, when you're in management and you're in a position like this, even if a subordinate had done all the things that he alleged, which I do not believe, and there's no evidence that any of that was done. Even if a subordinate had done all of those things, you cannot engage with people when you are in a superior role to them. Like I said, y'all need to do some sexual harassment training, apparently. So, you know, I don't know, boy. And it really is sad that women have to be subjected to this kind of behavior in the workplace. We have so many workplace stresses as it is that it's just unbelievable. So Alejandro says, same thing I was saying too, because it can be addressed if the call themselves that. Oh, so he used the Q word to describe members of the LGBT community. The problem with the use of the word, because Jonathan says the word is fair game to use as part of their logo. Part of their logo. Well, I think that the way in which it was being used isn't exactly he's not a member of the community, first of all. And so I think that within that community, if those people decide to use that word, then that's on them. It's kind of like the N-word, right? I think most people accept that a Black person in their own context can use the N-word amongst each other. But if you're not part of that community, if you're not a Black person and you walk up to a person of color or you use it outside of that, it's not. It's a bit of a pejorative term. Like you don't get to use it, basically, right? And it doesn't mean that you can justify using it by saying, "Oh, well, Black people call each other the N-word." And it's also the context in which it was being used. So the context in which he was using it was, in my opinion, extremely offensive. And I don't think there's any member of the LGBT community who would say that it wasn't offensive. And I don't think anybody else gets to say whether that's offensive or not if you're not in that community. Sonia joining us from the Dominican Republic. Good morning, Sonia. Buenos dias. Alejandro, good morning.
Yes, I don't understand how you explain that just now. Doesn't make any sense. If I'm a man, how can someone call me a man? And if someone is a queer, how can I call them a queer?
Okay, so you think that
like
you could go around calling? Hold on a second.
Of me calling you a woman.
No, but it's not the same type of thing, because calling someone a woman is never a derogatory term.
I've heard terms where people call women and they felt offended, Miss Sandy.
Just because somebody feels offended, that's not generally seen as a derogatory term. Words but
that is it, because it's almost like you're using it to your benefits. If you're calling yourself a LGBTQ member and we call you a lesbian and you feel offended, then what is the point of calling her LGBTQ?
Lord, how can I explain this?
That's the thing. It doesn't make any sense at all. So why do you body then post it?
It makes complete sense. And the way that I just explained it, I thought that it made perfect sense. And that's why
I don't think so.
Even the word Q for a lot of people has been changed to questioning, and not the term that you guys keep using. What? Maybe a person. Yeah. Maybe someone in the we got another call, so I'm gonna grab this call. Maybe someone who's a member of the community can help explain this, because maybe I'm not doing the best job. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra. Is Alejandro still on the phone?
No, he's on a WhatsApp call, so I can't do a straight call and a WhatsApp with. Yeah.
I just wanted to do a little bit of an explanation for Alejandro.
Yes, please help me here, because
it's sort of like you know how women might say to each other, you know, jokingly or in a friendly manner, "Hey, bitch, what's going on? Hey, bitch, haven't seen you in a long time," right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, I wonder if Alejandro would feel the same way if I went up to his mom and called his mom a bitch.
Right.
You understand? Yeah. Like that's what it is. Like you don't get to use pejoratives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, to me, I tried to give what I thought was a perfect example with the N-word. You know, if you're not part of that community and you don't have that relationship with people, you can't just use it. And the point is, he was using it in a derogatory way. So yes, it's possible to use a word that ordinarily might not be derogatory in a derogatory way that you know, is disgusting. And he meant for it to be, well, I don't know if he meant for it to be offensive, but I think he understood that it was to be offensive. And this is what this person also joining in says. Oh, somebody else is calling me. Hold on now. This other person said, oh, remember now, if you call on the show, 936-2626. Yeah, so I mean, I don't understand. I'm not understanding what Alejandro isn't understanding about it. Nobody in their right mind would go around using that word in that manner and not understand that that is extremely derogatory.
As long as Alejandro is fine with people calling his mom a bitch, he can say queer as much as he wants.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think it was that difficult of a conversation. Now Jonathan has gone completely overboard, wondering if people would prefer the B word that Caribbean people use. See, all of those things are derogatory. That is a derogatory term. And there's no sensible person who would think that term is not derogatory. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning. Just to add to that, you know, you might be saying that word.
Yes.
And you're not using it in a bad context, but somebody else might hear just that word and take it as a bad context. I remember last year I called my mom and I said, one time for the birthday, bitch. And my niece only heard that I called my mom a bitch on her birthday.
Oh my goodness.
And I heard this weeks after she was complaining to everybody.
Oh
and
my
I had to
goodness.
call my baby niece and apologize.
Yes, yes, yes. And I mean,
So
of
this
course.
year I had to hold my tongue.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't say that to mom again.
Nope.
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you for
Yes.
having me on the show.
Thank you so much, my dear. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we know. I mean, listen, obviously George has no filter because that was not the only thing that he was saying that was offensive. You know, the same cousin that he claimed that we had offended. Now, I thought it was really important for us to clarify that because you guys might not remember this, but I actually did. Remember the famous meme with me and my shower cap for my hair? That was me getting up that morning and clarifying, doing a very impromptu, still in my shower. I was about to get in the shower, my shower cap. And did I have on my face mask yet? You know, and my gown, everything. Me trying to address that issue because I thought it was that important to address because I would never knowingly or even inadvertently want to insult any member of the special needs community. And I know that we have taken political correctness to like an extreme, you know, and sometimes it's like it's like crazy. But I try to be cognizant of the words I use. You know, if they prefer to be called differently abled, then I don't have any problem with trying to use that term. But even when George was talking about the cousin that he thought we had insulted, which that was not the case at all. And I did a whole podcast around the fact that, number one, I didn't even know that the man had any sort of a disability. I heard him have a speech impediment. To me, a speech impediment really is not a disability in my brain and you know how I think. I'm like, there's a lot of people who have, some people stutter, some people, you know. So he was like stuttering and stuff a little bit. And I don't know the gentleman from West Bay. And I thought that that's all he had. Well, you guys heard George call him the R word and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, this is the same cousin that you were trying to defend. But, you know, had George given me an opportunity to really explain, I want to tell you guys how that went down. This wasn't George picking up the phone to me and saying, and sometimes you got to pick up a phone and have a conversation with people, right? Because sometimes this constant texting and messaging just really doesn't, you know, go very far. And so we were in the Newlands WhatsApp group. This was Alva's Newlands group. And George said his piece about how he was insulted, but then he kept going and going and going, like somebody who's really trying to get some brownie points. So I let him say it multiple times before I stepped in. I said, George, you know what you should really be obsessing about? This is exactly what I said in Alva's group. And I'm going to show you guys the man's world that we live in, right? I said, George, what you should be obsessing about is the fact that you're a woman beater and you need to stop beating women. Well, lo and behold, Alva Saku blocks me from his Newlands group. George doesn't get blocked. And he was having the most to say over and over and over and over again. He just kept going. You see, the good old boys network protect each other. Alva did nothing, said nothing to George. Oh, you're disgusting. You're this, you're that. And as a woman, I have to sit down and take his insults. But the second I decide to stand up for myself, and I stood up for myself by saying, stop attacking women, go get some help, and you should stop beating women while you're at it. That's where you need to focus all this energy that you seem to have for me. Bloop, I get blocked. This is the reality of the world that we live in. And so even when I was saying on the show that, you know, that ultimately, this is some of what we have to deal with. And this is why I protect myself from all these negative people and this negative energy, is because I'm very, very much aware that there are people who will never step up to the plate and protect me, that they're going to protect the Georges of the world. So that's the reality that we live with. And if I dare to stand up to him, then all of a sudden, oh, well, Sandy must be the bully. And it's like, and he gets a pass for attacking people about how they look and, you know, just going on and on and on incessantly about something. And then when I said to Alva, why was I the one who was penalized and blocked from the group? Oh, well, you know, Sandy, I just can't have this continuing. And I said, yeah, you should have stopped George 5 minutes ago. But in typical fashion, you men sit back and protect each other and have nothing to say. The point was not lost on me. And the point also isn't lost on me that there are a number of people in this community who seem to have an issue with women who stand up for themselves. A woman is not allowed to say, do not message me, do not text me. No, I don't want to go out with you. No, I don't care to have a conversation with you, blah, 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 because when she does, then she's the problem. And I'm just saying. So I have this person in Jamaica who keeps calling and messaging me about Miss Hazel. All right. So this person is keen to defend her. And you see now, this is where I'm not going to be harassed by anybody, whether they're in Cayman or in Jamaica. So let me call this person on the phone because they had the audacity to call me the other day, cursing and carrying on.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Why do you keep finding it necessary to message and harass me? Woman.
I'm not harassed.
Yes, you are harassing me. I have not responded to your messages, and you've been messaging me since Wednesday. Miss. You do understand that I can call the police station in Jamaica and file a report for harassment. Do not message me. No. Do not message me. I do not care about your misuse of God and the Bible and what you think in your little puny head. Don't message me again, woman.
All right. Forget God.
You called me already and cursed me out on the phone. You have one more thing to say to me on this messaging system.
No, I didn't curse you out.
Miss, do not call me. I'm not your friend and I'm not your companion. You're part of the reason why this country is going down the proverbial. It's people like you who are abusing people all the way from Jamaica. Listen to me, woman. It is people like you who can stay in Jamaica and abuse workers and get in cahoots with Miss Hazel and bring workers to Cayman that you guys know you're abusing. And then you have the audacity because I call you out on my platform to have a problem with it. Don't call me, woman. Don't call me again and do not message me. This woman has some nerve. They're so obsessed about making this man, what his name is, look so bad, right? That they're calling me from Jamaica, harassing me on my phone, WhatsApping me. Do not message me and do not call. Seriously. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Why would this woman think that she can pick up a phone and call me? All about, what's his name? Elijah. That's because Elijah has stood up to you people, to your Bible thumping selves. The man is calling Miss Hazel out for what a lot of people in this country know she is. You think he's the only person who has had anything to say about Miss Hazel? You've not even seen the messages that I've gotten about this woman. Y'all want to hear this story? Hold on. Since you want to go there. Since you really want to go there, let us get this woman on the phone who was trying to call the other day about Miss Hazel, who said, oh, I can tell you the kind of person Miss Hazel really is, talking about she up in church. Hold on here now. Let me see. Where is this? Let me see. Let's see if we can get this one on the phone here this morning. Y'all don't come play no games with me. I'm not your companion. Really and truly. You need to go sit down. You don't have a leg to stand on. You guys are abusing people. And you bring them to Cayman to abuse people. And because we're giving people a voice, you have the audacity to call me, oh, your platform, and you're using something that God gave you. Go sit down about God. God should strike you down with an extra dose of lightning this morning. Y'all are horrible people. Because all you want to do is sit down and talk about God, and you're misusing and abusing people. You think that that's what God is all about? All in the name of money, I should add. Pay the man his money. Pay him what is owed to him. How about that? If this government does not curtail this situation with people, and now the foreign nationals have gotten into the mix, Jamaicans, Caymanians, even Filipinos. You know how many of them Filipino workers are messaging me about this Danny woman? Some 50 of them have been taken advantage of by this woman. People work too hard to earn money to give it away to people who have no intentions of doing right by them when it comes to the work permit system. And it is disgusting that y'all think that you can take advantage of people and no one is going to stand up and no one's going to have anything to say. Come on now. Don't message me. Like I said, I'm not your friend. Me and you not no companion, none at all. And if you get me out of sorts, I'll go into a commercial break and use some of the choice words that George had the other day off air. And then you can go cry to God about that. These people are ridiculous. You start messaging me and you call me on the phone, carrying on with your stupidity. You see I don't respond to you. Stop harassing me. They're trying to paint this guy out to be, oh, he's such a horrible person. Well, look at Miss Hazel's track record, huh? Somebody said, ask her how she got the very husband that she got now. Because his ex-wife hired her as a domestic worker and she come and take the husband from him. Y'all try and go sit down talking about church. You look like church. You people are disgusting. Yeah? Her name bad about church all the time. This is what people had to say about her. She's a very bad woman, that Hazel Ebanks. And it not just today. Trust and believe. But you see, this is the Jamaican side of the Jamaican side now of the crookedness. Calling, because of course now their gravy train money is at risk. Immigration, y'all need to crack down on this foolishness. Seriously. Talking about Elijah's bipolar. I don't care if he's bipolar. Did he work the hours? Right? He has evidence from the timekeeper that the hours that she is saying that he worked, he did not work. You know how that he did, let me fix that. The hours she's claiming he worked more than that. And he's gotten that from the timekeeper. She got these Jamaican workers so afraid of her. Who is Hazel Ebanks? She not nobody. Y'all tell me, oh, she ain't go immigration. Who is she to go to immigration and stop anybody work permit? Do not give these people this power because they don't have it. The power that they have over you all is the fact that you do not know. You don't know what the law says, and you don't understand how the system works here. Right? And so that is why I'm here trying to educate people about not allowing them to do that. Listen to me. She's a Jamaican. You think she can have this man up in her house that's a worker and allow him to stay there, not getting a single dime from him. Y'all try and pick sense from nonsense. Like the man said, he was giving her money to cover groceries and other stuff. That I believe. And if you never wanted the man in your house, or you expected to be paid for it, that should have been understanding and the arrangement from day one. It should not have been a situation where after the fact now you say, well, you paid for your work permit because you were up in my house. And so now you're ungrateful. He's not supposed to pay for his work permit no matter what. So get your story straight. And do not have anybody calling me from Jamaica with your dirtiness, trying to attack this man. Here with a woman insulting me with this morning. You were not given the gift you have so that God want to do, that God want to do a new thing with you. What? Allow him to expand you on his way. Try and hush your mouth. Just shut up. You people are sick. And everything you want to bring in God into it. Leave God alone. Y'all have a problem. You know what I'm saying? They even send me pictures of the man. You know how Hazel claimed she was going to send evidence to support her side of things? You know what she ended up sending me? Pictures of this man talking about, oh, look at how he looked when he first come to Cayman versus how he look now. I'm like, really, woman? She didn't send me no evidence to support what she said as being true. These people have a problem. So she's trying to say that in 3 months, she managed to turn the man around physically and make him into a miracle? Elijah, I see you're in the conversation, sir. These people are really getting on my nerves today. Tell them, listen. Don't have me drop a couple of Jamaican words on them.
Basically, she know that I wasn't at Jamaica suffering because basically I was at my job.
Mm-hmm.
I have my work on and off my work continue because I do my own contract there.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm here, I still have to get somebody to do the work what I get to do down there same way.
Mm-hmm.
So when she got talk about say me come up here like thing, she is the same one and her husband, me here sit over here and saying to her husband say, me is the only one that come up with money here. Out of all of the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
She said that.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, she gonna say she have to buy this, she have to buy this. She must stop telling lie and stop spreading rumor.
Miss Dorothy said church is like a hospital. Anybody can go.
Every day I give her $200 or $100 towards food. And she's saying she have to provide food and never give her a red cent. She must stop them something then. And just because the rest of people them don't brave enough to come out and say them do this and them do that. Because even last night she said I was out there last night and one of the work guy them come out there and saying that
one
me
second,
hear them name Amal Road.
Elijah, 1 second for me. Morning caller.
One of the work guy them come out there.
Hello?
And saying that
A pleasant good morning. Yes, ma'am. You Jamaican people them trying to get under my skin this morning. And you know me soon drop a couple BBC words upon them.
I'm gonna drop it on Senior Soul this morning, my love child. This is what I have to say about this situation. This been going on with Miss Hazel for quite some time. When she had her store, she been doing the same thing to the women them with the hairdressing place. Take them, work them, don't pay them. Have them at the hairdressing store. If they don't come up with certain percentage or so much hair do for the week or whatever, the people them don't get no money. On top of that, when the husband had the restaurant out there, same thing. The people them that were working in the restaurant wasn't getting any paycheck. So it's an ongoing history with not just Hazel alone, but majority of the Jamaican nationals that come here and get papers and decide to open or do their own business to make money. So it's an ongoing thing for all of them. But for all fairness, this is what and I don't want to call other people names, but you have a lot more individuals doing the same thing that Hazel is doing. Seeking out these people from Jamaica, bring them up here, promise them the world. After they get here, then they want to change the world on top of them and get them on trash bag. When they get them the trash bag and the people retaliate, now they want to pick the blame here and there. But you know what? I am not blaming Hazel 100%. I'm not blaming the young man there 100%. I'm blaming the Cayman Islands government and the immigration department because they're not investigating how things work. They're not looking into the situation of hand, because after 3 or 4 complaints about one person or one company, immigration should be able to put their foot down and say, all right, let's investigate and see what's going on. You understand me? I have a incident where people would call me from Jamaica and say, Miss Kamli, I'm looking for a work to come Cayman. Let the person know that I will pay for my own work permit. They just need to receive me. No, it doesn't work that way. If there is work here for you, then we will get you here, or you'll come here in due time. You're not supposed to pay for no work permit. But then again, the individuals that's sending their money, not just from Jamaica, you have them from the Philippines, from India, from all over the place doing it, because they're desperate to get out of whatever situation that they're into, to come to the Cayman Islands to see if they can make an extra dollar or an extra work for their family back home, which is fair enough. But if you can do that, treat the people with little respect, man. Give them what due to Caesar, give to Caesar. You cannot do this. And most of them, when they come in here for the very, very first time, they don't have anywhere to live. So therefore, a lot of individuals will say, I have a spare room in my house. You can stay there until you get on your feet, and then you go look somewhere else to rent. Don't worry about food, no, not like that. No, man, me take care of you, man. No, man, everything good, man. And then at the end of the day, when this hit the ceiling now, this, when the shit hit the ceiling, the fan now, and it starts splattering all over the wall, you got to try to puzzle it out to figure out, how did this do this piece of puzzle fit there so, or that piece of puzzle fit there so, to get it right? And this is what has been going on. And I listened to the story yesterday, and honestly, I believe the young man, because this is what she custom of doing. This is what she custom of doing. But you know something? I don't want to go into other people in business. What you don't like for yourself, don't give it to other people. That man was happily married with his first wife, and Hazel walk in between that man and mash up his wife and make that man take away that woman papers and send her back to Jamaica. The woman was down Jamaica mad. God don't like ugly. God do not like ugly. If you want to, pick the beam of your eye first. Before, I always tell people, you know, don't worry about my business, you know, because my business up on the light post up. When that light turn on, when night come, you can see my business up there. So then I got to pick out my skeletons out of my closet, because I know my skeleton. But look at their skeletons, where they're coming from. Look at where they're coming from. Do not use people. Should use people right down to the nitty-gritty and see it coming back from biter. You have a good morning. I have somewhere to go. Enjoy your day.
That's exactly what that young man is saying, because even the first when I come out of her house and she said, me no need to pay for no food. I said, no, I have to pay for my food, because at the end of the day, I don't want nobody say, them feed me. She said, me no need to look for no way to live, because she got to try to get a container to set it up, and me pay like about $600 or $500 for rent. Me not have to pay $800 like the rest of them. Because one of our worker was living upstairs, paying $800 a rent for the rent. She lock off the AC on him. Him not go brave enough to come and talk the truth, you know. When he might get back his money, all he get back is only $500 deposit. He didn't get back a $800 deposit, which is all inclusive. And she said she have to take out her light bill, she have to take out her phone, what they call it, cable bill, internet bill, and also a bill where she said she claims she have to take out. You have 3 Filipinos when they was living downstairs in one of their apartment. When them leaving the apartment, they have a 100-pound cylinder full of gas. She said them broke one glass, so she have to hold on that cylinder before she can give them the cylinder. And up to now, she hold on another cylinder, and she's a next set of Filipinian come and rent upstairs. She sell that person the cylinder for $100.
Wow.
With the gas. She sell that person the cylinder.
Listen, I know Lulu doesn't seem to like you because she, you know, has a lot to say. She's taking sides with Miss Hazel.
It's not about liking, it's about justice. I don't need her to like nobody to like me, because at the same time, you must treat people the way you want people to treat you.
Exactly. And
you
believe
must always
me,
be honest with whatever you're doing.
Believe me when I tell you, right, that you don't hear these stories over and over and over again from all these different sources about one person and not know that it's probably 90% true. It just don't happen that way. The very CBC officers messaging me about Miss Hazel saying she's always been unscrupulous. That is the term that they use to describe her. And you think if it comes to this gentleman here who has provided his evidence, who showed everything, even has the hours from the timekeeper to say how much time he's worked, yet Miss Hazel is trying to say something else. All this woman is trying to do is delay the process because she knows that Elijah is on time. And as soon as she goes to Jamaica, it's going to be that much harder for him to collect his money. That's all she's doing.
Look, she go by Labor Board yesterday. You hear what she said? 5,000 missions on her account, so she can't able to pay me. The 24th, she would pay me my pay, which is when they say overtime, and so it come up to $1,300 and must $33. The overtime on the two, we're supposed to get 2 week notice pay, because unlawful dismissal. She said, remember, she sent me and we call it a message on Messenger, work until payday. She didn't start. Remember, she sent me the Wednesday, and the Friday night at 8:38 or 8:39. She sent me a voice note, said that I'm not supposed to turn up at work. I explained that and said to Labor Board, that is not a letter. Them said that is a 2-day notice. I said, no, that is not a letter. So them said that she only entitled to pay me for 1 week notice. I said, no, that's not right. So them say only that me entitled for, but say no, if it's unlawful dismissal, I entitled for 2 weeks. I entitled for 2 weeks notice. Or a week notice, which is I didn't get it. So I entitled for my 2 week notice pay. Them say me only entitled for 1 because she sent me I think they work until payday. Just a message says just work until payday.
This is someone who doesn't even want to. This is someone who does not even want to pay you for the hours that you've worked. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just ridiculous.
So I asked Labor Board about my $1,250. They said they don't have nothing to do about it because that's not in their thing there to do nothing about.
Well, she's done this to one too many people, and you know, the sad thing is that normally the people that she does it to are the people who are in the least likely to be in a position to be able to take her abuses. And this is where I have a real issue with it, because of the fact that she's bringing people from overseas who are already normally in a, you know, detrimental situation, and then using and abusing those people even worse. And it's horrible. I mean, she's one of your own. I can tell you that. I don't know what part of Jamaica she's from. The other day, people were asking, is she from Clarendon?
I think she says Clarendon. It's Clarendon. I think she said something like Clarendon.
And so you know, the funny thing is, people are asking.
Right now, she don't like nobody from Clarendon. She said she don't want no more somebody from Clarendon, because Clarendon people them lie and them this and that.
Well, listen, that is so funny. Because
the other day she had immigration meeting somebody, telling somebody about me, but she never know that everybody know me like that. And I tell somebody, them boss said she don't want no more Jamaican. And the Jamaican she have put up on her work thing, them have to be here already. She don't want nobody else from Jamaica. It is so funny because a lot of people in the comment section Wednesday asking jokingly if she was from Clarendon, because I don't know, do Clarendon people have a reputation in Jamaica for being liars? No, because she's from Clarendon.
But how would people know that? They were asking it because they were assuming because she's a liar that she's from Clarendon. But I'm like, why would you say that? She's from Clarendon, but I wouldn't say Clarendon people is all liar, because I really mean I know some nice person from Clarendon. All right, 1 second. We got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, my dear. Good morning to your Mr. Elijah.
Good morning.
Is it?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I must say that I agree on things that were said. The lady caller before myself. I agree on these things. If the nationalities, especially the Jamaican, because this lady is, can I call her a lady? She sounds horrible. She sounds like the devil. And she is always dressed up, Sandra. Always. Not a thing out of place. And the lady before me, I agree with what she's saying. Immigration, married Caymanian or no Caymanian, should really, really get down on these people now. Come on, we got enough hired here walking around with uniforms, taking long lunch hours and whatnot. Get down on these people that is doing this to their own people.
Yes.
For God's sake, if they didn't need to be here, they wouldn't be here. But they need to come to these places or to come to Cayman to get a job to support their families back home. Because Jamaica, not Jamaica like it used to be. I remember when we went to Jamaica for everything, not Florida. Sandra, I'm telling you this because I know you're much younger than me. I'm telling you this. We went to doctors to Jamaica. We even went to get produce. We went and we agreed well. But hearing that Jamaicans are doing that to their own, it's a good thing she didn't come here back in my grandparents' day, where and further back than that, where they used to take them out between the courthouse and what used to be Nova Scotia Bank and flog them because she sounded to be like the devil. Heaven, Lord, forgive me, but I had to say these things because it is not right to any human being. Woman, pay what you owe to these people. Get things straightened up to these people. Your day is coming. Your day is coming. Do right by the people. I thank you, Sandra. Good morning.
All right.
And good information all the time. Good morning to you too, sir.
Thank you so much.
Good
I appreciate
morning again,
it.
ma'am. Have a nice day.
So somebody said that Clarendon people is known as scammer people. I don't really know anything about that, but okay.
No, but basically, sometimes some people might be doing this stuff, but it don't definitely say you come from a parish because you don't know what the mind in our people, what them up to.
Yeah.
Nobody know the mind. Only somebody can know it's God. So we have to just be fair and help out each other. But you know, like this, the Jamaican them always try to tear down each other instead of them try to be as one and try to communicate and build them companies. That means at least them country have a good reputation. They're that not going on right now.
So Miss Evelyn says that her pastor is Pastor Bob, the church across from CUC. Anybody have Pastor Bob's phone number? I wonder if we should call Pastor Bob this morning. I mean,
the church is
the church has an obligation. Let me say this, right? The church is out there collecting all sorts of tithes from people, and they want to build big fancy church and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to holding their church members accountable, I think they have a responsibility as well. Since church is so important in their lives. Jim says, I love these so-called Christians who use their so-called Christianity when it's convenient for them and them alone. No, sir. Siobhan says the devil worst caller can't compare the two, but the lady isn't a nice person. Lulu says there's another grudgeful one hen. She always dressed up Miss Sandra. What? All y'all too bad. No, but I mean, the point is I got what the caller was saying, and I'm sure the reason why she mentioned it is because she can dress up and look good. What is it? Pretty face and dirty behind. That's the point. So she can dress up and put in her weave and wigs and whatever and look good and jump up and go to church and praise the Lord. But look at the blackness that's seeping out of her heart. Because if you can't give, even the Bible say, give to Caesar what is due to Caesar. If you can't give this man what is due to him, how can you call yourself a Christian? What are you doing sitting up in church? Because clearly the principles of the Bible are not coming through to you. Seriously. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Because the point is when me have to fun. She come and say me damage 3 of our cartel. When on earth did I do that? She come and hear and say that, when I do that. She said she pick up a criminal from Jamaica. Or I'm a criminal and pass through the airport.
And more importantly, if she thought that you were a criminal, why would she hire you?
Exactly. I do two police records before I come up here. 2 police records. So, me a criminal and come through. I mean, always have to go through the right channel for anything me I do.
Well, anybody have Pastor Bob number? Let's get him on the line this morning because I need to hear from some of these pastors because, boy, come Sunday, their church be packed up with hundreds of people. And it looks like the message just not getting through. Honest to God. So I want to ask him, what does he and the good Lord plan to do about this situation? You need to start encouraging. I don't know what they be teaching and preaching up on the pulpit, but y'all need to start encouraging people to simply do the right thing. It is your so-called Christian duty to follow the law of the land. You must not crook people. That is theft. That is stealing. Is this not being taught in church? What are they teaching people? I mean, I really and truly have to wonder. But most of these pastors are only concerned about having the church filled up so they can get tithes and drive around in their little fancy car. See what somebody say, half the churches are scams themselves. That's exactly the problem. And Cayman we got his number. Let's call Pastor Bob. Cayman have more churches than Quaker has oats. Really and truly. All right, Pastor Bob. And we got to tell him he on the air, although we wouldn't expect no cussing from him. You never know. So let's make sure we tell him straight up. No, sir.
Hello?
Hi, good morning, Pastor Bob.
It is.
Morning, Sandra Hill here. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Just want you to know you're live on radio, and we just had a question for you. We're trying to get some direction.
I'm in the midst of something here now.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just in the midst of something. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind calling me back, please?
Sure. When would be a good time?
It would be better if you can call me between 10:30 and 12.
Okay, not a problem. We'll call you back. Thank you.
Right.
10:30 after the show. Well, there you go. Pastor busy this morning. But Dacia says, please leave the pastor out of it. No, I have some questions about what is he in the pulpit saying to his followers. Is he not saying to them, you should be following the law of the land, don't steal from people, don't abuse the immigration law, don't abuse your workers? Are these not practical things that the church and practical messages that the church should be involved in communicating? Enough of them were involved in the whole COVID thing, telling people not to get the vaccine. So it seems like when it's convenient for them, they have no issues touching on, political or community issues. So let's talk about some of the more important ones, like don't molest children. I can't hear now that a pastor's got up on the pulpit and talked about that. We still waiting on that conversation. Yeah, somebody said they also preached out against gay marriages. So the churches seem very, very pick a sum on what issues they want to get involved in. You should be standing up against all wrongdoing. not just one or two issues.
But sometimes the pastor don't even know what they're doing out there. And that again, sometimes they don't know.
Well, with her reputation, I would find it very hard to believe.
I met Pastor Bob 2 times, and he seems to be a nice person.
No, I'm not saying. I'm sure Pastor Bob's a very nice person, but they also need to hold their congregation accountable. Stop making them come and dress up in front of you and pretend to be something that they're not. Pull Sister Hazel aside and say, Sister Hazel, it has come to my attention that here you are professing to be a woman of God, but it seems like you got some work to do. You're not ready for the pearly gates quite yet, Madam Hazel. You have some work to do.
And tell her she need to get her husband van license and insure and fitness for the road and stop drag down my piece of old van when I know say I'm here 3 months and hard, I say 4 months, and my van is 100% licensed, insured, and fitness.
And he is not licensed and insured?
And he's not licensed, insured, and fitness. Tell her that's what she's supposed to focus on and leave my piece of old van alone.
You see that? What the last caller say about picking the thing out your eye first, Madam Hazel? You drive around without insurance and stuff, and yet you want to talk about his little jalopy? Mess with you. RD Limited says, laughing out loud, he know what time your show is over, apparently. What a mess. Pastor Smell the Rat, says First Lady Jayanne. Johan says, if Auntie Sandra ever called my spiritual advisor, #no bueno. Do you have one, Johan? I have my suspicions you probably don't have one. Oh, Wayne says, blood of Jesus against your whole that. What a mess. Anthony says, a church pastor preaching out against gay marriage, water is wet. What? I'm not quite so sure, Anthony, I understand that analogy. Oh, Johan, Jonathan, Siobhan. Yes, he said, call after 10:30. Call after the show. Oh my God. Jim says, I know that we don't go to church for the people. However, the people certainly do make a huge impact on others trying to decide to attend or not. And many times these people are not a good example of a man or a woman of God. Well, that is for sure. And I get it too, because then, you know, what they say is that, the church is for sinners. Well, I guess so. Yes, I guess that's true. Except they're professing to be Christians. There's a difference. It's one thing if you go into church and you still say, boy, I'm a sinner, you know, me gambling, me smoking, me drinking, me crooking people. If you can admit it, then there's something to be said for that. But we're talking about these people who profess, they stand up on their Christianity and they judge other people. And so in the context of that, that is where I have a problem with it. I'm not saying that everybody who goes to church needs to be perfect and all this kind of stuff. I am saying no. These people are claiming that they are actually Christians. Christians mean you're trying to be Christ-like. As far as I know, stealing is against that's one of the 10 commandments. No, sir. Marva says, I agree with you. Talk to Pastor Bob. Lulu is the only one who says, Elijah, this is a nasty comment. Get off the phone and go buy your own roll-on. So, I mean, Lulu, seriously.
She never buy me then.
Seriously, Lulu is the only person in the comment section who has been defending Miss Hazel, which I think is so interesting. But, you know, like Lulu said earlier, that's her entitlement to have her opinion. Yes, you can, but you can't have your own facts now. So since Wednesday's show, sir, you've been able to get the timekeeper to send you evidence. So tell us again, how much does Miss Hazel claim that she owes you for work?
All right. When the timekeeper sent it and everything got to labor board, she went to labor board and said it is 69 point something or what?
Yes. So, all right. Hold on now. Stick a pin. Stick a pin right there. So, because of course you reached out to the timekeeper and asked for your time.
Yes, sir.
And the timekeeper has provided evidence that you actually have worked way more than what Miss Hazel is claiming.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Where do you think? Where do you think she get them hours there from?
When she got to labor board now, the timekeeper said it Tuesday, one day was missing, so he sent it over in the last pay bill we gone the other day, which is the last pay bill was 11th. 11th. Mm-hmm. She claims that she never see it. Remember, it's a small paper about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half. Thick. The length would be about 10 inches or less. You see, small piece of paper what I send you on the phone? That small piece of paper. So me I wonder how she not see it and I check and add up the times them together. So eventually yesterday she got through and when me call the time people on the speakerphone with them the labor board. She said, oh, it's here, it's hard to see it. Come on. Clearly she see it because it's something she have been going through every fortnight or so. And the time people already explain it to her. But she explain it to her husband, but she just reluctant. They want, like they don't want to hear nothing. So me ask labor board to get a copy of the receipt book what she write down the time what I signed to. They have the time sheet from the timekeeper them, but I need the receipt book what I signed because some places there what I have like 129.5 hours and up to now she don't have none of those in the receipt book. So basically the receipt book I need to see it because I need to see if my signature is fraud there. So I ask them, how can I get my $1,250? Them say them don't have no control with that. They have to deal with works. So that's why I asked you to call her and ask her when she gonna give me my $1,250.
So somebody says, can we have the husband talk? He's Caymanian, right? Let me hear what the fellow Caymanian thinks. For him, we did call him the other day, and unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that Miss Hazel controls his phone. He didn't answer, and so I don't think that we're probably gonna be able to get him on the phone. Haley says, goes back to tone. I can say Jesus is a tone. I don't find offensive, but someone from the church would, and I'm sure, and have had their voice, their opinion on it and called me out for it. It doesn't apply to you. Why try and find some term to box people up? Even then, we already are. You asked me, we're all humans at the end of the day. Okay. Dacia says pastors only preach, they can't save. That's on the individual to change. As the saying goes, you can bring the horse to the water, you can't have them drink. No, but pastors have a lot of responsibility. They are leaders. Yeah, and they're leaders. It's not just anybody can preach. Pastors are said to be anointed, supposedly picked by God to give his message to the flock. So they have a responsibility in this community. As KY345 says, thank you for saying publicly what I've been thinking. None of these religious leaders are publicly speaking out against child molestation. Maybe it's time that we change the job description for pastors. You know what I'm saying? They have an obligation. They're involved in the community. Some of them doing the most themselves. Some of them not really impressive. But, they have an obligation to live by example and to also expect better of their congregation. And if they know that their congregation is up to no good or they've received complaints, what is wrong with them taking people aside and saying, these concerns are coming to me? Sandra inviting people to come out to Wesleyan Holiness. Gabby says Hazel must be paying Lulu to be a cheerleader, laughing out loud. I'm beginning to wonder. What does one say? Can make what? Wayne, I can't read that comment. I can't read that comment on air. This person in WhatsApp says Pastor Bob likes to wear Rolex watches and drive his Camry and Lexus and latest style and fashions. I tell you what. So you think that he's going to go against those who are keeping him with offerings? He's not going to answer. She done told him, don't listen to that, to what anyone's saying about her. What a mess they in. Well, some of these pastors do be living their best lives. They're not humble. They're not humble like how Jesus was. They don't walk around and torn up frocks and, giving people bread, honey child. Misty, good morning. Misty says, I think she meant boys protecting boys, certainly not men. Which comment was that? Lulu, you're going to get put in timeout now. You're getting a little bit out of control. RMR says religion is a business. The religious charlatans work in the name of profits. You don't even need a church to be out there saving souls and preaching, but some of them, the bigger the church, they feel like the better off things are. I don't know. There's a lot to be said for how these churches are operating. Oh, thank you, Wayne, for clarifying, because when I read that, I had a different pronunciation on it. I appreciate the clarification. So I'll read the comment now that I know what you're talking about. So he says, Wayne says, Gabby, can make some pom-poms. I was seeing another word just now. Think about it. And I wonder how much we can get for that. So Anthony's wondering how the pastor got brought up. Well, the pastor got brought up because apparently Miss Hazel is a seat warmer up in church. She keep in the front pew. Very, very warm. All right. This person says, anyone who picks up a Bible is now a pastor. Make everyone who drives a boat a captain on his next trip. True. Touche, touche. No, sir. I tell you. All right. Well, we'll see about calling pastor again afterwards and, see if we can find out what's going on in these churches. Perhaps we could get some indication. So what's the next? I know, Elijah, that you reached out to Labor Board, I think on Wednesday after the show. What is it now that they're saying to you?
Oh, them say she said she gotta pay me what I supposed to get on the 24th of this month.
Mm-hmm.
And me and her have to go work out, which is it overtime and it's a 1 week notice pay on the 7th of April and the 21st of April. So me say, on the way me and her can work out that she have to let her get all my receipt that are signed to, and then they can go over and check it, and then they can rework out.
So
Because
she's asking, let me just clarify what you just said. She's asking for time to be able to pay you over multiple. And you see, this is important because remember now, folks, when she came on the show the other day and she claimed say that all of a sudden $5,000 is missing from her bank account. At no point did she ever say that to Elijah. She never said to Elijah, listen, we're going to do right by you. I'm going to pay you what's due to you, right? Just give me time. She never said that to him. She just said she wasn't going to pay him. And then even the salary, she was cutting back on that and claiming he worked fewer hours. Now she can come up with this excuse that supposedly money missing, $5,000 missing from her account. I want to be clear though, that is not Elijah's business.
Yeah, because I work 2 days, exact 1 month. She stopped me from work and I can't collect $1. And me sure know say the company pay her every dollar. Because them don't want people.
Yeah.
Them don't want nobody.
Right. But yet you must now wait on your money because somebody supposedly stole money from her. Which I don't believe for 1 minute. But that's the excuse now that she's
Monday
going to
Monday when I go Labor Board, she said that
supposedly
to them, so she sent them an email say her lawyer will contact them. And then after Wednesday now, she go to Thursday and I work out things with them. You see her lifestyle?
Yep. Unbelievable. Well, Miss Hazel, get yourself together, please. It's not a good look.
If you call her, ask her when me I go get me $1,250.
All right. You
I
want to
hear
give her
her
a call?
comment.
You want to give her a call? All right. Hold on. Let me see. What was her number again? Hazel. That was Wednesday show. Tuesday. When were you on Tuesday?
I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it was Wednesday. Let me see now. Hazel. Oh yes, here she is. She's 548. Let's give her a call. Let's give her a call this beautiful Friday morning.
Hello?
Good morning, Miss Hazel.
Good morning.
Sandra here. How are you?
I've been good.
That's wonderful to hear. I understand that you are coming to some agreement now to pay Mr. Elijah, and you're asking for time. He's wondering.
Miss Sandy.
Yes.
Why are you calling and harassing me? The blood of Jesus is against us, Miss
Lord, have
Sandy.
mercy.
Let me tell you something. The devil is a liar. And he's not going nowhere else but hell.
Okay.
Get off my phone and do not call me and harass me.
Right.
Leave me alone.
She was
in the
listening to
name
me
of
this
Jesus.
morning
Miss Sandy.
with her
Miss
friend
Sandy,
harassing me. You have people calling
I've
from.
never done you nothing. I've never done you nothing. Why are you calling me and harassing me? Leave me alone in the name of Jesus. I leave you in the hands of God. And let me tell you something. No weapon that form against me shall prosper.
God. Yes.
And
Quote the Bible, girl.
Miss
Quote the
Sandy.
Bible.
Let me tell you something, Miss Sandy.
Yes.
Let me
Quote the
tell you
Bible because
something.
that makes it
I
all
put
right.
you under my feet. I put you under my feet, Miss Sandy.
Okay.
And I one day will read about you.
My God. For you. You can read about me every day, child, because we'd be the ones that write the story. So feel free to read about me anytime you want. Go on Mall Road. You can read about me. I write my own stories. About myself. I put myself out there. What a mess. You see how they want to misuse God and the Bible. And I'm gonna call down the Lord upon you. Good morning, Miss Darlene. What a heat. Miss Darlene? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I can't hear you for some reason. Can you hear me? Oh gosh, I can't hear Miss Darlene. Try calling back, Miss Darlene. I'm not sure what was going on with the phone there, but my goodness, no sir. Everything, the Lord and my Bible and hell and damnation.
That's what they always do.
Yes. I wonder if they take this church thing for joke, man. No, sir. No. Miss Darlene? Hello? I don't know why I can't hear Miss Darlene. Miss Darlene? Yes. No. I got you now. It was me. Good morning. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't need to use God and say God this and God that.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The more she can do is pray evil on people.
That's all. Because I don't know me if you go to hell. Shall I there hell and ask me how me there heaven?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, darling. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Sandy.
Yes,
Sandy,
good morning.
Sandy. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. Is that Quincy?
Yes, your response is supposed to be Quincy. How are you?
I'm just making sure that I'm actually catching the voice. Wow, this is a voice I've not heard in a very long time.
Pun intended. The voice. The voice, exactly. Now, is now a good time to talk? I know you have a guest in studio because I need to talk with you on air for about 5 minutes. Is now good or should I call back?
What, you can talk? Is it on topic or are you talking about something else?
I'm talking about me today. That's
okay. All right. Well, let's hear it.
How are you doing?
No complaints. Blessed and highly favored.
Happy to hear that.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
It's been a while since we've spoken.
Yes.
I've been listening to you on and off whenever I get a chance to do so, and some days I'm not able to because I don't have access to the internet, but I always listen to your show with great interest. There've been a few things that you've said in the past, Ms. Hill, that you were probably on point and correct, but I deem as unnecessary, and I chose at the time not to address them because one, I was not in the right state of mind, and two, there were people had a saying, the more you stir SH1T, the stinker it gets. For instance, there was a broadcast, I did not catch it live, of the cold hard truth, sometime last year, where you said, and if I don't quote you directly, I'll paraphrase what you've said. And there's Quincy in his rehab room in Jamaica hitting crack cocaine. Those words did leave your lips and were transferred through your airwaves. Now,
hold on a second, Quincy. I seriously doubt I said that. What I said is that you were kicked out of the rehab program in Jamaica for being caught with crack cocaine in your room. Are you disputing that didn't happen?
Not at all. I don't live in denial.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what I said. I would not have ever seen any photo of you.
No, not at all. I mean, what you were saying was absolutely correct, but that's not the point. So I'm glad that one, you didn't deny saying it, and two,
I'm denying that I didn't look at a photo and said, there you are, smoking crack in your room. What I would have said is that you were kicked out of your rehab program, which the Cayman Islands government and by extension, the people were paying for, because unfortunately for you, you were still managing to get access to crack cocaine whilst in Jamaica and whilst in the program and, at the program house. That's what would have been said. So we got to be clear when we want to put words into my mouth that we actually get it correct.
Absolutely. Listen to me. And no one talked about a photo. And I'm only addressing it now because it needs to be addressed. Listen, I don't live in denial, Sandy Hill. And also, I think it's very important to note that your show, Cayman Road, The Cold Hard Truth, has quickly become, and I always say good things about you, I always say good things about you. It has very quickly become a leading news source in the Cayman Islands because, in my opinion, it started out as nothing more than a tabloid, and a lot of people send you information. Bear in mind,
that might have been your opinion, Quincy, but your
opinion. And I know how to differentiate the difference between a fact and an opinion, Ms. Sandy Hill.
Because need I remind you? Let me just say this, because this is where when people say stuff like that to me, I feel it necessary to correct them. That might have been your opinion, but the very first story that CMR published was about the fact that Bruce Blake had been arrested in this whole FIFA thing. That was not a tabloid story. That was a factual story. And just yesterday in court, after they've been convicted now, just yesterday in court, they had the hearing because they're now coming up to sentencing. So why anybody in their right mind would have said, even at the earliest stage, at the very first publication, that we were a tabloid publication when we were printing factual stories that nobody else had access to. But, you know, you're entitled to your opinion. Yes,
Correct.
you are entitled. You're just not entitled to your facts. And so I wish to differentiate the two. But
you don't have to, Sandy, you're not talking to a fool, you know. You're not.
No. But there are people who are listening to you, Quincy.
Absolutely. There are people who are listening.
Who
just like
I just want them to understand the opposing point, really.
You do understand that you're speaking with someone who has training in broadcast journalism. You know that. No, I guess
well, I know you have experience in working for Radio Cayman.
Sandy, I have found, Sandy, that you have always highlighted, and again, this is my finding and my opinion.
Okay.
I have found that you have always gloried in highlighting my underbelly.
Your underbelly?
Highlighting my bad points.
Why would I do that, Quincy? Let me ask you a question right now, Quincy. Are you sober at this point in your life? Are you still struggling? How long have you been sober for?
Clean. I will not answer that question.
Okay.
But I will tell you,
I mean, not sober since
and
yesterday. Now you know. When was the last time you took a hit on the crack pipe? I mean, let's be honest. If you want to come
to answer that.
Okay, but if you want to come on this program, this is called the cold hard truth for a reason. You can't say to me, that I'm sober and I'm now dealing with sobriety if just yesterday or even 2 days ago you were indulging in crack.
And I wasn't.
And
I was not.
Who don't know, Quincy, your struggles, because you've even come on the program and publicly said it.
And so you do a great job of reminding the people.
It's not about anyone taking any glory in your story.
Of reminding the people, though. You do a great job of reminding the people of my fault. You do a great job of doing that. I don't do
that. You do that yourself. Every time you get kicked out of rehab because you're doing drugs in rehab. Every time you're walking the streets of Cayman Brac and you're selling food in order to get your drugs. I have a video of you actually doing crack, which I have never. If you thought that I was the type of person, Quincy, who wanted to put your business out there and make you look bad, I would have shared that video, which your drug dealer, by the way, took of you. And I bet you're not calling him this morning, taking no beef with him, right? I would have shared that video. If you actually believe that I'm somehow taking some secret pleasure in talking about Quincy Brown and his demons, I would have shared that video. If you actually believe, let me tell you something, Quincy. If you actually believe that I took any pleasure in talking about your issues, I would have talked about what you did to that young lady that you are family to. Quincy, in the name of Jesus, please stop while you're ahead, because I know the story. You know the little girl who was wearing braces, and you remember what you did to her? I'm asking you this morning to please come off of this phone line before I have to tell the people of the Cayman Islands what Quincy Brown really is all about. Quincy, do yourself a favor.
I'm listening,
and do not go there.
I'm listening.
Because do you really think the people of the Cayman Islands would want to hear what you have done to a special needs child? You really want people to know that? If you think I'm the kind of person who is so invested in you, come on now, Quincy. You're a drug addict with many other issues, but don't take it personal when we address you, an admitted addict, and other addicts on the program.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening, Mrs.
No, because you need to listen with a degree of understanding. You're not sober, and you're not the only person in this country.
Yes, I am sober.
All right,
I am clean and sober.
If you say so.
Yeah, but you see, listen, if I know what I was getting myself into when I picked the phone up this morning.
Well, I don't think you do, because you don't know that I know that, because I've never said it publicly.
I have nothing to hide.
Oh, well, I would beg to differ. I would beg to differ.
I have nothing to hide, Mrs. Hill.
Okay.
And you see, I find that there's
if you have nothing to hide, all right, let's go there then, since you have nothing to hide.
Well, before we go there, can we finish talking about drugs and alcohol?
Go
and then
right
we can
ahead.
take it step by step.
Go
We
right
can
ahead.
take it topic by topic,
Mhm.
right? I think it's very important to know that I am in a program of recovery. I have spent time at the HSA, the Health Services Authority, Caribbean Haven, and also a halfway house. So I am not drinking and I'm not using. We also
And
must
you're in
understand,
the
Mrs.
halfway
Hill-
house now.
Beg your pardon?
You're in the halfway house now.
I will not answer that question
Okay.
because obviously one has to remain anonymous and one does not want everybody to know where you are. You might be hounded by fans wanting autographs. That's a joke. You didn't laugh. So you don't always get your story right though. And I understand as journalists, we sometimes don't. And that's why we double check our sources and we do what we have to do. But you have to realize though, Miss Sandy, that I'm aware of what's happening in my life and I'm aware of what's going on in the community as well.
Right.
Now, I am not responsible for my addiction. I'm responsible for my recovery. And I am working.
Are you responsible
a program.
for your behavior? Even when you're on drugs, are you responsible for your behavior? We're not going to take any accountability for that either.
Oh no, when I'm on drugs, when I'm using, I tend to stick by myself. You understand?
Okay. All right. So, Quincy, since you want to come on the program this morning and talk about facts and getting things straight, shall we ask you, have you ever abused any young people? Sexually abused them?
We're not going there yet. We're not finished.
We're not going there yet. Okay. All right. But
We're
we're gonna go there today.
Yes, we can.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good.
We can go there. You see, I'm not dodging your questions, and this will give listeners a time to tune on because I understand you have an agenda, Mrs. Hill.
Oh, my agenda is called the truth and exposing the underbelly in this country. That's my agenda.
You're good at that.
I've got an agenda. All right. My agenda is protecting children from predators.
And women. The protector of women and children. I oftentimes refer to you as the Nancy Grace of the Cayman Islands. I refer to you as that all the time. Right. So I was in Jamaica, as you know. I've been to Jamaica many times for educational purposes and for medical purposes. My last trip to Jamaica ended a bit abruptly because I relapsed whilst in rehab in Jamaica. So get that straight. Yes?
And like I said, they found you with a crack pipe in your room and kicked you out of the program.
That's not correct. I was using a can, not a pipe. So you see, this is where sometimes stories get a little bit
I'm sorry,
off.
you were using what?
A can.
A
C-A-N.
can. Oh, okay. All right. So instead of a crack pipe, it was a can that you're smoking the crack off of.
Correct.
And
correct.
somehow that detail means the story is inaccurate. I'm not quite following you.
It means it's not 100% correct. That's what it means.
Okay, the minute details. Was I smoking the crack pipe with my right hand or my left hand or my big toe? You see, those are the details, Quincy, that nobody really cares about. The point that you're missing is you were away on the dime of the people of the Cayman Islands, right? People who actually care about you. People like the premier of this country who has been begging you, Quincy, get help, whatever. Multiple times the people have paid for you to go away and you cannot. Your addiction is strong and you struggle with it, and I accept that this is not an easy road, and I do not understand it. I do not understand it. That's right. I totally don't understand it. But what I do know is the last time you were there, you got kicked out of the program because you were doing crack in the crack recovery program in their facility.
Not kicked out. I asked the medical doctor to let me leave Jamaica because the woman I was trying to, the nurse that I had fell in love with on a previous trip, I was trying to rekindle the flames of passion with her.
Lord have mercy!
But you don't want to hear my side of the story,
man.
Sandy.
I
wasn't kicked out. I was moved from 163 Old Hope Road and put to 25 Antrim for a week. A week after it was discovered that I was indeed using crack cocaine in the rehab center in Kingston, I was removed to another location to take time because COVID was still on. So boarding aircraft and traveling from one country to the other was not as easy as it is now. So it took a week to get me from Kingston back to Grand Cayman, okay? And the doctor came into the room and found me. And he said, oh my God, in all of my years as a practicing doctor, I've never seen this.
Well,
but I had nothing to hide as well.
Okay, all
you
right.
see, Sandy Hill, you cannot embarrass one who is bold enough to let the world know what I do.
No one is trying to embarrass you, Quincy.
No, but you have a way, though, Mrs. Hill, of reminding people constantly of a person's past failures. I think
it's
you're very
not
good
your
at that.
past, it is your present. You've
No,
never
it's not my
dealt with
present.
it. It's your present, it's not your
No,
past.
well, listen, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Once an addict, always. So you go through recovery. You see, that's the part of addiction you don't understand, Mrs. Hill.
The part that I don't understand is why you're even calling me this morning. I don't understand.
Well, I'm calling you, and
Yes.
thank you for giving me the correct number. I'm calling you because there were quite a few things I wanted to address, particularly the broadcast, which you've corrected yourself, or corrected me, because you actually quoted it correct then about the incident in Jamaica. I really, really wanted to address that for the longest while. And also there's a story that you ran on Kim and Brack. You called certain young men's name, you know, demand and supply, who's selling, who's using. You got that story kind of wrong too. And
you mean the same, stick a pin, the same young men that are your dealers who provide you with drugs.
No, they're not my dealers.
Who have you
They're not
out
my
in the
dealers.
streets informing on people so that you can get free crack? Would those be the same young people that we talking about?
No, they're not my dealers. And
Okay.
without calling names, they're not my dealers. So you got to get this right, you know. Mr.
So
Sandy.
the only names that I call on this show is when people have actually been arrested. And despite them claiming in social media that they haven't been arrested, the police have confirmed that they've been arrested for drug possession and charged and arrested for actually supplying.
Well, that's
so
responsible
I don't know
journalism.
what you're talking
You
about.
only call names. You only call names once an arrest has been made, and if someone is charged in the court of law. If it is an allegation, you say a person. You don't go about. You got to be careful. You're not sued more than once a day, you know, Mrs. Hill. You have to be very, very careful.
Really?
Yeah, like there's another story with a man who's hiding out on Kim and Brack. He kind of speaks with an Italian accent, even though he's lived in Brazil. You've done a great job with. And also, there's another lady on Kim and Brack who runs a site called Kim and Brack, the Best Island. You remind me so much of her, and she reminds me so much of you. Really, you're so good at doing good for people, then turning it around and telling people what good you've done. Listen, I am no saint. I have made horrible mistakes. And when you talk about pastors and men of the cloth, those in religion,
Quincy.
always remember this. Teachers, as we segue into where you want to go now, as we segue into where you really want to go now, teachers of morality, discourse like angels, but they live like men. Pastor, politician, police officer, they're all men.
Are you sure that you're sober, Quincy?
You see, you keep asking that.
No, because I have to ask it because it's a serious question.
I am sober. Now, how do I prove that to you? I'm on the phone.
I mean, I don't know how you prove it, but I'm just wondering, based on you going down this rabbit hole, if you are actually sober or not. Okay, so let's get to the important stuff here, Quincy.
This is where you want to get to.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Since you want to be, let's get the facts straight, let's get honest, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows about you and this little child that was molested at your hands. You want to talk about that?
Let's hear what you have to say.
No. Have you ever molested an underage child before?
Let's hear what you have
Let me ask you the question. Have you ever molested an underage child?
Let's hear what you have to say.
What do I have to say, Quincy?
Because you say you know the story. You say you know the
well,
story.
I do know the story, but you said you just a few minutes ago, you said you'd answer the question once you had the opportunity to say your part. So now I'm putting it to you. Have you molested an underage child? Maybe I should be a little bit more specific because maybe there's more than one victim. This one is a special needs child.
Not at all. Not at all.
You've never molested an underage child, right?
No, don't jump to conclusions, Sandy. More than one.
Jump to conclusions. What kind of conclusions?
You see what I mean?
You know, it was reported to medical professionals and others, but the family, as is often the case, would not go to the police and have you arrested, which is what should have happened. Quincy, let me tell you something.
The case went to court, Mrs. Hill.
The
case went to court.
The
case went to court.
Really?
Okay?
When was that? When did it go to court?
You're the journalist. You should know, Mrs. Hill. And by the way, it happened in 2004, and Quincy Brown was only drinking alcohol in those days. Quincy Brown had not been introduced to crack cocaine then, so you can't pin crack cocaine on me for that incident. It was something that should never have happened. There was no penetration. There was exposure, which was wrong. I own up to it, and it is now my past. The families have gotten together, and we put it behind us.
Right.
We both had our day in court. Was I guilty? Guilty as sin. I don't have that to hide, but now you must not paint a picture that one-off mistake back in 2004, after I returned from Canada and before Hurricane Ivan struck, that one-off incident where I had been drinking and a week before had just flown back in from Havana, Cuba, that is not who I am.
Really?
There was no penetration, Sandy.
And penetration means what? That's the only way that you can abuse a child? And I don't even think that we're talking about the same case because this one involved penetration of the mouth. So I don't even think we're talking about the same case. I mean, I'd have to ask how many people, how many children have you molested?
But this is what I'm saying. Where are you getting your information?
Right. You don't need to know where I'm getting it from. My question now becomes,
protect your
how
sources.
many people?
That's very good journalism. Protect your sources. But a one-time incident. Now, you must not try to paint me as someone that I'm not. Because
have you ever had to take a sex offender treatment program?
I have not, and I don't think it's necessary.
Oh, you don't? I see.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go around preying upon people. When I say pray, that's P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Listen, I love alcohol and I love crack cocaine. Now, that's the truth. Now, I'm getting help to deal with that. So we must not try and bundle everything up to paint me. And perhaps, you know what I like with you too, Sandy Hill? Whether I like it or dislike it, you give person enough rope to hang them own self.
Well, my dear, I can give you all the rope you need here today.
I can tell.
Yes.
And I respect, and I think it's also, it's very important to get out here as well. I respect you for the work that you do, Mrs. Sandy Hill, but I don't like you. You're not my cup of tea at all, but I respect you.
And you know that I could care less whether you like me or not.
Of course. I understand that.
You do understand that.
Absolutely.
Especially after this abuse has come to my attention, I can care less even than I cared before.
From 2004,
Sandy? No. Like I said, maybe because of your drug use, you have forgotten. Maybe you've forgotten.
Sandy, where are you going with this?
Maybe you're forgotten. I don't really know what's going on here.
I started
but what I want to tell you is,
I started using drugs in 2011.
Let me be very clear. Let me be very clear with you, Quincy. Anyone who molests children is the lowest of the low. And I don't care whether you can justify it, talking about there was no penetration, oh, it was only oral sex, it was this, it was that. Whatever you did to it's someone who's special needs. Well, you know, like I said, either you're in denial or you don't remember. I don't know what's going on here.
I remember
for you to tell me, right, that you don't like me is an honor. I don't want any child molester to like me.
You see where you're going to now? Now you're calling me a child molester. I thought I was Cayman's biggest homosexual. You see that now, Sandy Hill?
So
You've just
have I ever called you
molester.
Cayman's biggest homosexual? Have I even ever called you a homosexual? Are you a homosexual, Quincy?
A homosexual is someone who's attracted to someone of the same sex. A homosexual would be after a man, obviously not after children.
Well, Quincy, you can do more than one thing at the same time. You know, you can.
But what am I then? What do you think I am?
You just said that
Be objective, Sandy. Be objective here. Come on, let's be objective now. Let's be objective. You understand? I keep myself to myself.
Quincy, answer the question. Are you a homosexual? Are you willing to at least admit that? Could you see that part of the problem with you could be the very thing that you just brought up yourself? I never said nothing about no homosexuality in this conversation whatsoever. You brought that up about your Cayman's biggest homosexual. Where would you get that from? Could your problem really be that you are not even willing to admit that you are homosexual and that's part of your demons that drive you to drink to use drugs, to go after children, and to do all this other stuff. Sometimes the seed that our issues stem from is really deep.
It's all disordered, It's all disordered, but you see, the norms of society are changing. You now have the LGBTQ, and they'll keep adding other vowels and whatever to it. You see, you have to realize that if something is disordered, it's disordered. Homosexuality traditionally is disordered. Pedophilia is disordered. Bestiality is disordered. I don't find myself in any of these things. I keep to myself. Right? In all of my years of traveling, going to Spanish-speaking countries, when I had money in those days, if I ever picked someone up to take back to my hotel room, there were always women, legal-aged women. Prostitution is alive and well in all countries, and even our Christian nation here, prostitution is alive and well. So in my travels to Costa Rica, to Cuba, to Honduras, a woman up for the night, she was a woman and of legal age. I have never engaged in sexual relations for pay with children or with men. So get that straight.
Well,
as
you
well,
weren't paying the children, you were just doing it.
Stop saying that.
Okay.
You're talking about an event from 2004.
No, I don't think we're talking about this. I'm talking about the same event. I don't think we're talking about the same event. Was the child wearing braces at the time that you put your orifices in her mouth? Or you put something in her mouth?
Going with this.
I'm just asking you a question because I don't think we're talking about the same victim. So what I'm hearing is there's probably
only one story, you see. So let's make sure you get everything correct. All the details, get it correct now. You did say a family member, right? But it's certain parts of the story you're not getting right.
Well,
right?
the thing about it is,
and it wasn't. Go ahead.
Most people who abuse others, especially sexual abuse of children, right? Most of the time, it's not a one-off situation. You don't just get up one morning and say, "Oh, I'm going to do something and abuse one child, and that's going to be it." There's often a period of grooming. There's often more than one victim, even within families. This is why I talk about the fact that these are things that need to be addressed. Quincy, I don't know how deep you want to go today, because obviously there's some questions that you're refusing to answer. But let me ask you a question. And of course, you can choose not to answer it. But were you a victim?
Can I say something, please? Because I have a meeting to go to.
Yes,
I am not calling about the sexual abuse part, because I am highly against that. I don't know nothing about it. But as a person that you put out a lot on social media about the community, you do good in certain aspects. Not everybody's going to agree with you, right? But I think instead of just sitting down here, pulling all of his drug addiction and habits out, we're actually misguiding him and also making it more painful for him. Because what I see, I mean, you're not coming from a bad place, but right now you're being judgmental towards him. And that can also send him into a state of depression when we're being judgmental, when we're trying to lecture a person, when we're trying to make them feel guilty, when we're trying to...
Quincy called this morning because he wants to set the record straight and he wants to get to the facts. So
yeah,
I'm like, okay, if you want to get to the well, his denial doesn't mean that the rest of us have to stay in denial.
That doesn't give us any right to be judgmental or lecture him anyway, right? All we can do as a person, or you as a person, is try to support and say, you know what, no one chooses to be a drug addict. You know, you fall into those, I mean, to be a drug addict, alcoholic, maybe because of stress, maybe because of issues with your family. I mean, there's other, these addictive behaviors are not just something you're born with. They happen over a period of time. And listening to the conversation, I can see that he's in denial. But how can you help the situation, or how can the people help the situation?
Well, I mean, when it comes to children, the accountability has
but
to
like
be
how
there.
I say, it has nothing with children. I'm talking about the drug use part, you know?
Well, I'm not separating any of it really, in the sense that it's one singular individual that clearly needs help. And if he's not even willing to admit, you know, that he needs help, or admit to really his
but can
behavior.
You get someone to admit, someone that is in denial?
He says he's sober. He says he's sober and he's in treatment. So let's believe him this morning.
Okay.
Because that's what he says. Quincy says He's sober and in treatment. Quincy, you still there? Oh no, Quincy gone. He hung up or did he I'm not so sure if he hung up or what that was. I was going to then go to the next question and ask the next obvious question. Let's see if he hung up or what happened. Yeah, and exactly like this person said to that last caller, Quincy called me, not the other way around. But I calling him now. Let's call him back. Maybe he ran out of credit.
Sandy.
I wasn't sure if you hung up or ran out of credit or what might have happened there.
Well, I'm also cooking a pot of food, so I had to make sure I checked my pot, and I had another lady come on, so I put the phone down. But we shall continue now with this discourse, shall we?
Absolutely. So since we're putting all the cards on the table here today, and we're all about ensuring that we get the correct information, I have often wondered where your demons began, and I am of a firm belief that you were probably a very damaged child. Would you be willing to talk about that this morning, since you want to be honest and correct us with information and make sure we know everything?
Many of us, including yourselves, are coming from dysfunctional backgrounds.
Yes,
However,
I've said it on this program myself.
We go to therapy, we get the necessary counseling, and we heal the wounded child that is within us all. Yeah.
And how have you learned to heal that wounded child? Because abusing other people is certainly not the way to do it.
I want to make this abundantly clear. Abusing other people, you have neglect, physical abuse, mental abuse, and sexual abuse. Let's get this clear, Sandy, because you cannot lump everything together. The drug addiction, the mental health, and the one-off abuse. You cannot link it all together, or lump it all together, rather. Because I think what you're trying to do this morning, correct me if I'm wrong, you are trying your very best to put me, Quincy Brown, in a category of child molesters. And I'm not going there, because that's not who I am.
Well, if you molested a child, then I do call you a child molester. That's normally how that works. You know, what else am I supposed to call you? Cayman's most talented on-air personality?
That's what you should call me, you see.
First and foremost, you're a child molester.
That is why I think you're a narcissist, Sandy, with all due respect. I think you're a narcissist, and I think I think you glory in bringing the bad out in people. I really, really do believe that. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Because you've never had me on your show to talk about the many accolades I have received. You've never had me on your show to talk about the first movie that I appeared in, which is a very sick movie. I didn't even want to play the part, but I did it to help a young Caymanian student. You've never.
So
you've never
let me understand you, Quincy.
You only have the times I've come on your show, and I'll be quiet so you can speak if you would. The only time you've had, and by the way, I did call you this morning. I initiated this conversation.
And all the other times you've been on the show, you've initiated wanting to come on.
And drug addiction. It's to talk about mental health.
Right. And you chose those things. You wanted to come on and talk about those things.
But that's not who I am. Talk about Quincy, the voice. That is why I started by saying this morning,
that's not who you
Sandy, 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 of which you should have responded, Quincy, Quincy, Quincy. Just like when the late Whitney Elizabeth Houston called Vanessa, who was it? Wendy Williams.
I'm going to add another caller, Quincy, to the program. And don't hang up, just come adding another caller, because normally they just wait. But I'm just letting you know, give me 1 second. I'm going to add another caller so that they don't have to keep ringing the phone. So because you say that you are not a drug addict and not all these other things, or I shouldn't just focus on that. I should talk about all your wonderful accolades. And because you're not getting enough attention in that area, you think that makes me a, what did you say? What word did you use to describe me?
I think I said that, in my opinion, you are vindictive and you're a narcissist.
Yeah, you didn't say vindictive earlier, but you said a narcissist. So now we'll add vindictive to the list of things.
You can add that as well. Because
okay, all right. So Sandy is vindictive and a narcissist. Quincy is a talented young man, a filmmaker, Cayman's best, talented voice. But we must not talk about the fact that he's a child molester and that he's a drug addict and all these other things. So we'll only talk about the positive things with you. But you want to be able to call me a narcissist and trouble and a what? A narcissist and what was the other word?
I am an alcoholic. I'm a drug addict. Whether I am clean 10 years or 20 years, right? What I don't like what you're doing is you're lumping my drug addiction and my mental health condition with sexuality. And they're not the same.
No, I'm not lumping them together. I'm saying
I think that's what you're doing.
all of
What are you
these
doing
things
there?
are who you are. You can't separate and compartmentalize like, oh, I abuse children sometimes, or maybe it was only that one person supposedly that I abuse. And so let's not ever talk about that because that's not really who I am. I don't understand that. I'm confused by that. All of these things are who you are. You are a very talented individual who, unfortunately for you, will go down in the record books as someone who's not been able to pull it together. You've been given chances upon chances right there at Radio Cayman. Miss Norma, Mr. Loxley, these people believed in you, Quincy, and gave you so many chances in and out of rehab, right? Every opportunity. And unfortunately, every time you get an opportunity, because of the addiction that you've openly spoken about, you're not capable of keeping it together long enough where you just do your job. And so these people are like, we can't keep giving you a chance and not knowing next week, is it next week you're going to fall off the wagon and be back hitting the crack pan or can or whatever we're calling it. You know what I'm saying? So you have talent, but how can I sit here and talk about and praise you for your talent when you've been wreaking havoc on Cayman Brac? You're one of the people, the names that every time people talk about the drugs in Cayman Brac, your name comes up as an informant. Your name comes up as someone who's jeopardizing their lives.
I don't inform.
Because you're sitting there watching stuff on social media and running back to the drug people saying, oh, this one's saying that, this one posting that, this one talking about this one talking about that.
That's not true.
And you're putting people's lives at risk. But yet you want me to talk about your talent?
I'm putting people's lives at risk.
This is what the people in Cayman Brac say. I'm only telling you what they say.
You cannot. Well, you need to listen objectively and listen to what people have to say, but you have to use a bit of common sense to be able to separate the facts from the non-facts and the innuendos and the hearsay, because not everything you hear, not every text message you receive, Mrs. Hill, is factual, you see. And when I was on Cayman Brac from December 31st,
I think the bag is like probably $3 something.
Someone else is talking.
Yeah, sir. Yes. Let me 1 second for me, Quincy, please. Sir?
I won't hang up. I'll hang up.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Hello, caller.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. I'll let you interject your comment because I think Quincy's going to be on for a while.
Oh, Quincy, big up yourself, man. I worked together with Quincy on the radio a few years back. And, Quincy used to say, my voice when I reach you, what you want is what you get, and what you get is what you want. But like you said, Sandra, he's talented, well spoken. I think he's, I can't remember how many languages he spoke fluently. And what I'm not going to ask, but, certain family members, children have been victimized, have been molested at their early age, tender age, and it messed them up mentally, physically. And it might portray something of them down the line in the future that this is right when it's not, So I know when Quincy might be hitting or drink or whatever, it messed up his whole, what do you call it now, his IQ and everything. But then again, it boils down to the part where I would say, how many of us here and elsewhere, because Cayman is so small, you can actually see of children getting molested and nothing comes out of it. And with this ball game that it seems like is a normal playground, nothing comes out of it. And if they've been found guilty, is like a slap on the wrist, and that's it. Nothing comes out of it. But then again, you guys here have been, hitting the nails on the head, pound for pound, blow for blow, and so forth. Quincy, everybody know the talent what you got and what you have.
And you know, unfortunately, that talent is wasted. Is the point really? Because you can have all the talent in the world. Once you start engaging in certain behavior, you know, ultimately the world has to hold you accountable.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so I think that that's the point that Quincy is perhaps, I think you might have hung up again, but that's the point that Quincy is missing. You can't have all these demons and then expect that I'm going to be focused on the voice, Quincy the talent. You have wasted your talent.
And if you don't have
that was a God-given talent that unfortunately you have wasted.
And if you don't have positive people around you day by day, you know, you're going to be wasted by negativity.
Yeah, what he needs is not about positive people. He needs honest people. Who are not going to, because this is what Quincy wants. He's saying, "Oh, elevate me. Talk about my talent." How can I talk about your talent when I know you've molested a child? I don't care if it's one child.
Yeah. Once is enough, because you molested that child and whatever. That mental state of that kid is gone.
Yes, talk to me. Someone who you just said has been an advocate for children and women in this community who've been sexually abused and sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
You, in my eyes, and you can take this any way you want. In my eyes, you have no talent when you have to do that. When you have to do that to a child, you cannot talk about, "Oh, let's focus on my talent." To me, that don't make no sense. Let's focus on you victimizing other people.
Yeah, Sandra, I gotta run, but I'm listening.
I'm listening. All right, dear. Thanks. You know, talk about you victimizing other people in the worst possible way. But you don't want to answer the tough questions here. Remember, he called me this morning. You claim you're in recovery, but yet you don't want to say, are you in recovery at a facility? What kind of recovery are we talking about? Because the saddest part about Quincy is he lives in delusion. He lives in la la land. And that is most unfortunate. Because that delusion, and those of you who buy into it, you know, oftentimes I see Quincy posting stuff on social media, and you guys are commenting as though you don't know that he's an addict. "Oh, Quincy, the Lord, and oh, Quincy, you're such a good person," and this and that. And I'm like, really? You guys are enablers. You're why someone like Quincy will not really get the help that he needs, because there's always going to be enablers in this community who will tell Quincy what he wants to hear, not what he needs to hear. I'm sorry if I'm not that person, and that doesn't make you like me, Quincy. Like I said, I really don't care for more reasons than one, but particularly because I categorize you as a child molester. I actually don't want you to like me. That's a blessing as far as I'm concerned. But you need people who are going to be honest with you and stop placating you. Caller, good morning. Well, you can hear that these people are getting under my skin with the foolishness this morning, but I still remain blessed and highly favored. Yes, honey child. KY345 says that Quincy, please let Sandra know that you yourself was a victim of child abuse. That's not, I asked the question because to me, that's not even a question. It's obvious to everybody that Quincy was a victim. And this is why, people, I fight as hard as I do. Because, hold on, they're saying they can't hear you. You should be able to hear her. Speak again for me, caller. Yeah, people can hear her on radio. I'm not sure. But you know, this is why I fight for victims, because I want to stop abuse. You know, that's what we have to do. We have to stop it, because the impact and the scourge of what is happening to people like Quincy, he is an example of what happens when you're abused and nobody acknowledges the abuse. Nobody gets you the help that you need. Of course. That's why I fight as hard as I fight. I'm not sitting here doing this for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this because these children are subjected to the most disgusting behavior and abuse. And if we don't stand up for them, this is what they become. They themselves become abusers.
Hello.
Quincy?
Sandy.
I think you hung up again, but I wanted you to have your final say.
Yes, and this will be the final say. Let it be abundantly clear, because it's best that I come off the air now, because
They're
sometimes
saying
when
they
you're
can't
talking,
hear you on Facebook. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Again, you got it wrong. Quincy Brown is not the victim of child sexual abuse. You see, you got that wrong again.
Well, be very clear, Quincy. You need to pay attention now. Someone said that you needed to tell me that. Somebody.
Yep, I read it.
Oh,
read the
okay.
comment.
All right. So you're saying
I read the comment.
What
Someone,
Miss
what's her name? She's
they
saying that I
said
just need to come for.
No. I'm saying that they can't hear her on hold on one second.
But someone typed in on the thread saying that I need to admit, or I'm paraphrasing, I need to admit that I was abused as a child. I was sexually abused as a child. So therefore, I need to admit that. It's liberating. It's where freedom will come. Blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing here. That's not what it is verbatim. But you played right into that, though. I'm listening to you. You know, I'm watching you on the screen.
What I said was I believe. I didn't say it was a fact. I said I believe that you were also a victim. Your behavior is indicative of someone who has been victimized. That's all I'm saying. Now that's just my opinion. If you say it's not true and you're not willing to admit that, then it is what it is. Same way that you say you're not a homosexual and you're not willing to admit that, then
I am not living in denial, and I'm not, because I can admit my wrongs. I can tell you what I've done, what I haven't done, and and you refer to me as living in a delusional world, a la world. Well, yeah, when you're on good Pablo Escobar, you're in a different world, but that's not what I'm on now. You see, I don't listen to me. I don't mind going down in history as someone who used cocaine and someone who drank alcohol. It's the fact. It's the fact. Quincy Brown has used cocaine, but it's good. And Quincy Brown has drank alcohol. I mean, I'm in a program of recovery. You want to know the address. You want to know exactly where it is.
I'm not asking you.
That's putting too much information out there.
No, Quincy. I'm not asking you any of that. What I'm saying to you, are you in an actual, when you say you're in a program, are you actually in a facility? That's what I was asking you to really try to understand.
I am in a facility.
Okay.
I'm in a facility, and I want you to also know, and your listeners, by extension, those tuned in, that I am taking my medication as prescribed by Dr. Arlene McGill, Dr. Tanya Holder, and Dr. Bernard. I am taking drugs, prescribed medications by psychiatrists. So you'll be happy to know that I'm taking care of my mental health as well. I'm in a facility. I'm getting the help that I need. I'm attending the 12-step program. I am not drinking. I am not using drugs, and I'm taking my medications as prescribed by psychiatrists. That's the cold hard truth. And also, I was not abused as a child. I was not sexually abused as a child. I was not. Let me tell you what kind of abuse I experienced as a child. As a child, I was physically abused. But as Caribbean people, our parents, sometimes when we got out of hand, we got beaten. And listen, when we went to school, the principal or the headmaster, we got strapped. So what we call physical abuse today, back in those days, it was spare the rod, spoil the child. But that's the abuse I received as a child. Severe beatings, severe beatings. To the point where, as an adult, sometimes I'm beat up today. And that wounded child doesn't know how to respond, because when you're 8 years old and you're tied to a tree with a piece of rope, and another piece of rope is used to beat the hell out of you, what do? I was physically abused as a child. I was not sexually abused. Let's get that straight.
Okay. So I can't even give you that bit of justice or bit of leeway to say that the reason why you've abused at least one other child or a child is because you suffered that as well. I can't even say that about you. You're just saying that never happened.
Sandy Hill. Let me tell you something. I'm Catholic. Saint Joseph.
Jesus. That's part of your problem too.
I know. Oh no, you don't want to hear nothing about religion.
No. Your obsession. We've talked about your obsession with Catholicism before and how you're interpreting certain things. And I think that sadly, that is also part of your problem. I have no issue with God. Religion is a creation of men who want to control people. And that is why you cannot admit your own truth because, that goes against what the church says. You've come on this program and said that before.
Truth, though, Sandy? What is my own truth?
Well,
my own truth that I'm attracted to females? Is that my own truth that I am not homosexual? I'm attracted to females?
If you say so, Quincy.
You know, listen, Holy Saint Joseph was enthralled to be married to the Blessed Virgin Mary, who was 14 years old at the time, according to the Vatican and according to the Holy See. Blessed Saint Joseph was a man in his 30s, and he was engaged to be married to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Gospel. She was only 14 years old. Is that child molestation? Is that child molestation?
In this country, you can't use the Bible to justify going after a 14-year-old or any other children for that matter. In this country, a child under the age of 16 is legally off limits. I don't care what you think.
You put it too low, under the age of 18.
Well, it should be 18, but it's actually 16.
Under the age of 18, Sandy. Come on, whose side are you on? You think I'm not on your side trying to protect women and children? Don't paint me as the beast here. We need to protect women and we need to protect children.
You cannot be serious this morning. You could have no interest in protecting women or children if you yourself have molested a child.
You're trying to paint me as a perpetrator.
But
I have nieces and nephews.
You are a perpetrator.
Nieces and nephews.
You are a perpetrator.
I go into the schools when invited as Uncle Quincy.
That's a mistake for whoever's inviting you into schools, but you are a perpetrator.
You are so, Sandy, because if I were not in my good senses, I would have used expletives long time.
Well, don't do that because that'll get you hung up. But let me be very honest.
So that tells them in my good senses, you are very vindictive, Sandy. You are a dangerous woman.
Well, my
dear,
this
is why I don't like you.
The truth, you don't have to like you. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like me. That's perfectly fine.
You know what I mean?
You don't have to like
Why
me.
Don't you talk about the movie that my first movie after 30 years of performing on the stage, the national stage of the Cayman Islands, after 30 years, I appeared in one movie by Johanna Eugene. The movie is called Escape. And I only played the part to help the young man who's studying film. It's a very
all right. So let's talk about the movie and not talk about the fact that Quincy has molested a special needs child.
Oh, yes, but the movie, but what a segue.
In my head, that doesn't make any sense. I can't do that.
But Sandy, the movie deals with the same thing. So it's a good segue. You want to continue talking about sexual abuse? That is what the movie is about. So segue. Why don't you go to YouTube? Pull up Johanna Eugene. The movie's called Escape.
Because you've done a movie that talks about sexual abuse, that means that we should ignore the fact that you molested a child? What are you saying to me?
The year was 2004, and I made a mistake in the year 2004. Inappropriate things happened with a minor. It has gone to court. All sides have been taken care of.
No, this matter was never dealt with. So I don't know what other case you're talking about.
James Austin Smith was my lawyer. James Austin Smith was my lawyer from Walker's. He was with Walker's at the time. I haven't seen him since. And my other lawyer died in Ireland. So Sandy, listen, and why I'm getting upset, I'm not getting defensive. I'm getting upset and perhaps a little bit fearful because you're trying to paint me as a beast that I know I am not because I know myself. I know myself. I'm not looking for a man, a woman, a child, or an animal. That is why whenever I do what I do, which thank God I'm on the road of recovery, I just close my eyes and I think about whatever. A boat, a breadfruit tree, a relaxing on 7 Mile Beach. Listen, you don't understand addiction, Sandy. It is a struggle in the lives of many. Now, perhaps you understand a little bit more about mental health because you always have mental health professionals on. But I'm going to end this morning, Mrs. Hill, that you do not lump me in the category of the child molesters list because that's not who I am. That's not who I am, Sandy. You're making, because a person who's a child molester continues to molest victim after victim after victim after victim.
Really?
My case saw its light in court. The case started in 2004 and it didn't end until 2006. As a matter of fact, When the final judgment was handed down, I was working for Vibe 98.9 FM. Mr. Kenneth Rankin was my director of broadcasting at the time. Vibe 98.9 FM is now Island FM, I think. They've changed the name. So it had its day in court. Yeah? You want to find out? Was I found guilty? Not guilty? The case was acquitted. Why, you want to open it back up? I see that's a new thing now with Cayman Compass. Cold, hard truth. Cold files, reopening cases from yesteryear. Listen, perhaps we need more investigative journalism in this country. But you know what I want you to do? There's a bigger case in this country other than flogging or fondling. Flogging or fondling. We have a major drug situation in these islands.
Really?
I am no informer, you know. I respect the police. I respect the task force because they know what I do. I couldn't do what I do without them. This is my concern, Ms. Sandy. That yourself and others who will be bold like you don't end up like the late Veronica Guerin of Ireland. Go ahead. Expose. Expose. I'm Quincy Brown. Have a good day.
Oh, God. The threats might be working on those poor brackers who have to be subjected to him walking up and down the streets of Cayman Brack and having him act as an informant on them. And then the drug people, the drug dealers in Cayman Brack threatening these people. They've even taken to social media to publicly threaten them. You heard the threat? Y'all heard the threat just now? Quincy is disturbed. Yes, he has mental health issues. Yes, he has drug addiction issues, right? But the man is also a child molester. I'm not asking you all. This is not a question that's up for debate. Medical professionals were involved. I don't know what case he's talking about, but this case did not go to trial. Because the child is special needs, the family did not want to put the child through that. And this involved him putting a sexual part in this child's mouth. I don't want to get too graphic, folks, because we're here on radio. Y'all need to stop placating the foolishness in this community. I see your messages. Oh, but everybody sins. Everybody. Oh, Quincy trying to get help. Stop your foolishness. All you're doing is enabling people like Quincy Brown. As Anthony said, you kill one person, you're a murderer. You don't get to abuse one person and say, well, I'm not an abuser because I haven't gone around and abused 50 people. I'm not a rapist because I've only raped one woman. I'm not a child molester because I only did it to one child. First of all, I don't believe that. Knowing what I know about abusers, I do not believe that for 1 minute. But this is precisely why they continue to do what they do. And you guys have the audacity. You think I care if Quincy likes me or if he doesn't like me? Like I said, in fact, he does me a favor by publicly saying he does not like me because thank the Lord. If no child molester likes me, I think I have in part done what I was put on this earth to do. Don't like me. I don't care. Oh, I respect you, but I don't like you. And yet I remain unbothered and I don't care. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandy. I just had to, I don't usually call in, but I had to call in this morning because the topic is just it is too clear cut for us to be talking about any, blame the drugs, blame this, blame this childhood. You can blame whatever you want. I do not care. If you have, in my and in society's view, well, maybe not society's, in my view, you should be hung. Right? Let's send you to your God and let him decide what needs to be done. But all of nonsense about talk about my film, talk about this, talk about that. If you in fact, because I don't know about the case, right? At all. But for all of those people in the comments and people who are saying, "Oh, don't remind us of this past," why? Just think about the fact that that could have been your child and how you would feel if it was your child. Be saying all of this nonsense, or would you be trying a gun, a knife, a hose, a noose, whatever? It's blatant nonsense. That is a child. That is the most innocent creature on earth. I don't know how much good you have done. You should be hung. Good morning.
Exactly. Thank you, caller. No, I mean, and you know what's happening here is those are all things to deflect from who people really are. You know how many child molesters, right, have been pastors? How many child molesters have been political leaders right here in this country? How many child molesters have done good in the community? And you guys are telling me I must ignore the lives that they have destroyed through their molestation and through those acts because, oh, they've also done good things in their lives? Come again. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
Morning again, honey child.
Morning.
I'm coming on this morning, not with that issue, but we do live in a wicked world. I would like to just bring to attention of people that I did put out a survey out there. Can I
keep it? I don't want to be rude, caller, but to me this is a very important topic, and I don't even want to change the subject this morning. So let's talk about your survey, because in fact, I've reached out to the police because some people are thinking that your survey might have come from them. I'm not really sure. But can we leave that until Monday's show and we can talk about your survey and give it the just attention? I don't want anything to deflect from this moment, which I think is a very pivotal moment when it comes to child abuse and child molestation in this country. We need to focus on this, but I appreciate the call. Jim says Quincy was deflecting, not holding. And a lot of times when we have open mic people, we can switch conversations, but I want y'all to stay in this moment. Because you have just heard someone publicly say to me, ignore all of this other stuff and big me up. Talk about the good things I have done, the movie I've done, and this and that. And my mind is saying, you've got to be crazy. And those of you who support Quincy, if you support him, call, let me know. Because I don't understand this type of mentality. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
This is my first time calling the program.
Thank you, sir.
And I am blown away by, the facts that you present and the stupidity of people. I listened to Wednesday's show and I was so disgusted to the point that I turned off my radio 4 different times. And when I turned it back on, that same individual, which is so despicable, was still ranting and going on. Similarly, we have a similar one this morning. What the hell is going on in this country? We all of a sudden, and I thank you for this, you are starting to expose these pathological liars, these narcissists, these child molesters, and
they're so bold that they're coming on air.
So bold. Exactly. And the funny thing is, you got different levels of narcissism, right? You got your classic narcissist, you got your covert narcissist, you got a whole bunch of them. And as a matter of fact, I just experienced being in a narcissistic relationship that I had to end because I had never been with a narcissistic person before. And let me tell you, it is not nice. It will make you want to kill the person. So I had to use my intellect and my wisdom to say, you know what? This is not worth it. I can do better than this. Let me move away.
Yes.
But Sandy, I want to thank you this morning. And I'm going to come back into this show because there's some things that I'm going to have to say it is going to rub some people the wrong way. And I don't care about identifying myself. My name is Richard Bernard. And I don't care who wants to say whatever. But listen, let me tell you, I got some stuff that I could tell you, and I'm going to say it publicly on the radio. And it's going to be exposing some of the same politicians that we got in this country. Some of them are also child molesters.
Oh, of course, of course.
One of them right now, I can tell you, is a minister.
My dear, and we know it, and yet nothing is done.
And these people are hiding, they're hiding under a rock.
No one speaks.
They're hiding under a rock like a cockroach, you know? But we need to remove the rock and expose them.
Thank you.
So it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And then I want to say this also. We have followed the patterns of the great but despicable United States. And we have introduced these policies that are now coming home to roost in our country and our society, where we remove discipline from the schools, right? We remove discipline from the homes. And in turn, that has allowed young children as early as the age of 5, that if their parents spoke to them in a certain way, they go and pick up the phone and call 911. 911 is at that house to arrest that parent. Now listen, Sandy, I'm old school, right? My youngest child is now 41 years old, but I can tell Jesus Christ, if I was to have children today and they get out of the line and I spank their ass and any authority come to my house, I would tell them, take them. If I'm not going to discipline them, you take them. Simple as that. You take them. Because later on, when they grow up to be psychopaths, child molesters, and murderers, then you don't have nothing to come to me and say.
Well,
look at what's happening in the United States in the schools and the colleges. Children going home, getting guns and coming back, shooting the teachers.
Let me be very, very clear. Quincy says that he was subjected to physical beatings and abuse. So, I mean, clearly that did not seem to help him in any way, shape, or form.
Listen, Sandy, my parents beat the crap out of us when we were growing up, right? Listen, there were 5 of us. Sometimes one of us did something wrong and the whole of us got beaten for it. But listen, Sandy, did that make me a narcissist? Did that make me a rebellious person? Did that make me a child molester? No. There's ways for you to deal with crap, right? But you see, I've come to understand, and again, I'm going to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this program, because you are now starting to expose all of these narcissistic and pathological liars and some of these really despicable people that we have in our society. And Sandra, thank you again. Continue to do it. Don't stop. Don't let up, right? Because let me tell you, you have people here that has molested children. It has never been reported.
Oh, a lot of that. Trust and believe.
The children are silent because they are scared, right? The parents, in some instances, the parents are being given hush money. So there's a lot of crap that is happening here, but it needs to be exposed. This is the problem. And then the next thing, when it's exposed, it needs to be dealt with properly. In other words, people need to be brought to justice. They need to be prosecuted, not sweep it under the rug. And this is what's been happening, because Sandy, there's a lot of crap going on in Cayman. I've been in the financial industry. I'm a retired accountant. And I can tell you some of the crap that is going on here. It's unbelievable. And the authorities here know about it, but they ain't doing crap about it. So as long as they're not doing anything about it, it will continue. So,
all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you again, Sandy. And I will be calling back at another time.
Okay,
right.
Thanks. Well, what a mess. I am speechless. Somebody said 2 days in a row. They said, Sandy, these people are like, I don't know how you can top this, but you know, what is so incredibly interesting is I don't know. I feel like this platform, I guess, because of its popularity, is now attracting a lot of very, very interesting people, which is okay. But it's people who are in competition for each other for attention. That's really what this is all about. When you hear these people calling the show, oh, wow, George, he's blowing up. He's a meme. He's blowing up the place. Everybody talking about George this morning. Oh, but I want y'all to be talking about me and my movie and my talent and what I've done. Don't be talking about George. It's almost like an unfortunate competition amongst crazy people and amongst narcissists. So call and let's talk to Sandy. She's going to give us a platform because I'm trying not to turn anybody away once you call in and you follow the rules. So, of course, no profanity. You know, try to be respectful. I must say, Quincy followed the rules this morning. But I'm confused about why he was calling me this morning. He claims about something I said last year. Really? Okay. And it's because you think I'm too hard on you and I'm always focusing on the negative and you want me to focus on the positive. And I don't like you, but I respect you, Quincy. Somebody just said you're not a social media post. He doesn't have to like you. You better believe that. Thank God, right? That I have long ago arrived at the point where I need no one's permission to be me. I need nobody's permission to tell the truth and to live in truth. And I don't need anybody's permission to call a spade, regardless of who it is. Whether it's a Miss Hazel, whether it's politicians in this country, whether it's child molesters, you know, it doesn't matter to me. Wrongdoing should not be sitting well with any of you. And when people jump up and talk about, oh, they're a changed person, they're different, they're this, they're that, I don't care about any of that. You can change all you want, and you changing, right, doesn't mean that what you've done can be undone. You've molested a child, that can't be undone. That child is damaged forever. And she is not in a mental space because, you know, she has some restrictions, let's put it that way. She can't even fully process what has happened to her. And you want me to talk about a movie that you've done? Say what? Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy.
Wow.
What the hell is going on?
I don't know. I mean, somebody asked me, is it like full moon madness? Someone said it's been Friday the 13th all week. Like, I don't know what's going on.
How are we glorifying child molesters? How are we doing this? I mean, how does this person have the balls to call you and justify what he has done in 2004?
Yeah.
Like it was, oh, sorry, I just made a mistake. It was a little thing. It happened, but you know, here's my movie. Oh my gosh, here's my movie. Why don't you praise me for what? And what about the mistake that you did? What happened to that child? What happened to that child?
Mm-hmm.
Did they give any help to the child? You're working on yourself now, Mr. Molester. Was any help given to that child? Yeah, I'm a mother, and I understand this. If something had happened, you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm so angry this morning listening to your show, and this person, that these people have the balls to actually call you and justify what they did, and then talk about how good they are. Just because you did one thing in 2004, which is like when you just shared a little detail that just boiled my blood. I mean, I'm sorry, that was a mistake? No, it wasn't a mistake. You did that intentionally. You knew that child was helpless sitting in that chair, and you could do what you thought you'd get away with it, but you didn't. And here you are, just because you're admitting what had happened doesn't make you this person, this clean person. It doesn't wipe your fucking slate. I'm sorry, but it doesn't.
I don't want to have to hang up on you, but you got to watch the language. Calm down. Calm down. I'm feeling your energy, but don't use any profanity.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
Yes.
because he did that once doesn't mean he didn't. That he's innocent
and
now.
if we're to believe him that it's only once, like I said, I'm talking about a very specific incident that was not that long ago. So I don't even know what he's talking about. That must be another case. But you know, those of us who are mothers, those of us who've gone through abuse, when you hear something like this is very, very triggering to see that that's how someone who's done something to a child thinks.
Yep. And he's saying that he just did it once, and that means we should just, just forget
he's
about
not a
it.
child molester because it only supposedly happened once.
No, all that he's probably not a serial abuser. That's what it is, but it doesn't mean that he's not an abuser.
We don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know that. But that just for the benefit of his comment or whatever he said, that I've just done it once in 2004. You're still an abuser. You're still an abuser. You're just not a serial abuser because you're saying that. But who knows, right? Because you were caught once. All right, I'm just gonna calm down. Sorry.
Yes. Folks, it is shocking. 936-2626 is the phone number. Yes, I'm very disturbed. I'm very, very disturbed by it all. I'm not even understanding it at many levels, but I don't know. It's now a competition to see who can have the craziest story on this platform. I don't know if that's what we're doing here. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra. How you doing?
Not bad, my dear. How are you?
I'm good. You know who this is?
Keep talking.
Yeah, you know. Anyway,
Oh,
this is
that
Carrie
laugh.
from the BRAC.
Yes, Carrie. Oh my
I
goodness.
had to call in and just give my 2 cents in relation to Mr. Quincy Brown. First of all, Mr. Quincy is costing this country a lot of money, constantly putting him in rehab, and he not trying to accept the fact that he has an issue, deal with it, get clean, get back on the grandstand of life, be the success that we want him to be out here in the country, and the ambassador we want him to be. We have a lot of people rooting for him. He's just got to stay away from returning to the same environments and meddling with the same people. And I said this a long time ago. I said he probably would be in a better place if he was sent to a foreign country like maybe the United Kingdom, where there's so many resources to really keep him in check and keep him clean and get him involved in the arts where he is so famously known for. And there's such a better variety of that in the United Kingdom. And I think he needs a different attitude with a lot different latitude, because the one he's in here now is not helping. The constant repetition, it's over and over and over. And every time I think about how much money we're spending to rehab him every time, and it's not his money, it's the people's money. And he's not changing, he's not fixing himself, he's not getting the proper help, obviously, because if he was, the last, not this time, but the one before, the rumor is he was kicked out of that rehab center.
Well, he admitted it this morning, so I guess it's no longer a rumor. He confirmed it. Yeah.
Okay, so where he's being placed in this area of the world or area is not helping him. He needs to be ejected and put somewhere far away, far from the people that is able to connect back with him, that got him in that situation in the first place. And I think a different atmosphere for him, breathing a different air, a change of scenery, more places for him to go and exercise his artsy, personality and get involved in that would be way better for him, and stay there for several years and stay clean and stay and do better and improve yourself. And who knows, maybe he'll become some famous Broadway playwright or whatever. It can happen. Nothing is impossible. But ultimately, it lies with him. He has to want this. And he has to want it so bad that he will never let anything distract him from that want. He needs to take that want that he has when he gets into the drug environment and turn that around and put that into the environment of being a successful human being and being able to be, accepted and constantly appreciated and recognized in his own community, which I think is another thing for him that he wants. Quincy also needs recognition. He needs you to constantly uplift and praise him. I know that. I see that with him. And he's not getting that, constantly going into the same environment of rehab in our region is not working for him, because wherever he's placed here, there is interjections of individuals that are going to have him, get back into the drugs and fall off the wagon, so to speak, with alcohol and everything else. I personally feel he needs to get a whole new latitude, not this one. This one not working for him. And with the latitude change, he also needs to want that change, and he also needs to accept that change, appreciate himself more, love himself, respect himself, and move forward in life and be a better human being and get a lot of help. And he needs for him. So that's what I wanted to say today.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate it. We do have another call on the line. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. In regards to Quincy's, whatever he said today, at the end of the day, he has been smothered. He is extremely brilliant person, but he does not need to be in the Cayman Islands. He needs to be open up to better place so he could show his art. Cayman is smothering him. And of course, whatever you stated that he molested a child, oh my goodness, that's jail sentence in my view. Whatever the court did, that it did not happen, I don't know. But he has to be in a place where he could show his brilliance. It's hard for a person being an artist and can't be an artist. An artist, when it comes to music, art, painting, whatever the case may be, he needs to let loose. Cayman Brac of all the places, he's living in Cayman Brac. He's smothered. Therefore, of course, drugs and everything else to make him feel okay. Get an artist, open up. It's difficult. Get him off the island and put him into wherever the setting is best for Quincy. Government has paid you know how much money government paid for Quincy to go to rehab?
Listen, so many young people could have used that type of money and energy put into them for an education.
Yes.
I mean, when you think about it, and I mean, obviously, addicts are, it oftentimes takes more than one stint at rehab and whatever, but people are saying here that if Quincy does not want to change, sending him all the way to the UK isn't going to do. And in fact, I think that the honest truth is a lot of our people would be far worse off than people in the States, because over there, nobody not gonna care about them. Nobody not cared if you made a movie. Nobody don't care if you think you're talented, because there's a million other people with your same talent or better than you who are also addicts and who are dying every single day of fentanyl overdoses mixed with crack and everything else. You know what I'm saying? So people overseas not gonna have no sympathy for Quincy because he's lived on a small island. He can walk up to an MP any day of the week and nobody gonna make Quincy starve. He gonna eat. He's gonna be still taken care of to some extent. In the United States of America, he not getting that kind of treatment. And I tell you what, If he go there and molest people's children, he's also likely to get some real street justice too. Not like here in Cayman where everybody gonna be hush hush about it. Oh, you know, he family. We don't want to make the child go through that. He not gonna get that.
He's been smothered. When you cannot articulate or do whatever you want to do as an artist, believe me, you've been smothered. So he has to go to a place, not into where they send him in Jamaica and all this places that they paid all this money. Has a British passport, give him a ticket and let him make his way there. And stay there and go wherever within his art, because within his mentality, he feels that, okay, he's supposed to be up here, but yet still he's only dealing with a little piece of.
And I you know, I must say that one of the issues I think Quincy is having is what he demonstrated this morning, is his need to want to be somebody and to elevate himself about his so-called talent is counterproductive to him staying and remaining in recovery. Because the first thing he does is he jumps up now. Oh, I want to go be in a play. He came and run down. Here I am. Puts himself in the stresses of that when most of the time it doesn't look like he can handle it.
He goes in and practices and then don't show up.
Yes, he can't handle the stress of that, but he's still, when he's feeling, and this is part of bipolarism as well, which he has been diagnosed with. When you're feeling good, all of a sudden now you're on top of the world. You want all this praise and recognition, and you know it's very counterproductive.
Yeah, but
it's sad.
We have to acknowledge the fact that he has a mental disorder. We have to put that in.
Yes. Yes. And someone also says, to this caller's point, she says, where do these fool Caymanians come from? They have no idea about mental health and addiction. Quincy and others cannot help themselves. Until people understand how these illnesses work, things will never get better here. The public ignorance does not help our mental health workers and what is trying to be done. People like who you have on the phone. I'm not saying she's talking about you, by the way, because this is a message from some minutes ago. Now has not got a clue. The addict cannot help themselves. Only God or higher power can. No, your therapist can. God is great and you can pray all you want, but sometimes these people, mental health issues, need medication, right? When they jump up and say, oh, God, cure me of my depression, that's normally a sign that they're going into manic stage. God would want you to get professional help.
Yeah, but also remember they have to acknowledge that they're ill.
Yes, absolutely.
Because fall down and you have a bruise, you could put a Band-Aid on it. But with mental health, it's totally different, Sandra. It's totally different with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
The person sounds well, whatever the case may be, but the head is not there. Today it's there, tomorrow, and they would.
Oh gosh, not sure if she ran out of credits, folks. I'm still working on that toll-free number, trying to see how quickly we can get that expedited. I mean, it's a sad situation. It really, really is. I don't know what to say, but I think it is ironic that they want to call in the program and listen. If this is my philosophy, if you want to call on this program, we can do it. You won't put your business out there, then that's on you. You're an adult. Yes. But come to the courts, come to the classroom now with your rows and your ducks lined up in a row. Because when you start to say that I don't have my information correct. Okay. So I said you were smoking in a crack pipe and it turns out it was a can. Semantics. We don't really care. The point is you were kicked out of rehab for smoking crack in their facility. I don't even know. And this shows, like, again, the person who's talking about the addiction and a lot of us who've never been there. But how do you go to a place like Jamaica and you're in rehab and you manage to get crack inside of a rehab facility? That takes a special kind of energy. I would not even know where to begin. Where do you find that in Jamaica? Like, it's just crazy. Morning, caller.
Yeah, we were speaking. My phone got cut off.
Oh, yes. No problem. I keep saying that we need to get the toll-free number sorted. We're working on it.
Okay, fabulous. Anyway, I can't remember where I left off, but at the end of the day, we have to look, in the case of Quincy, it's a mental health issue. Yeah?
No, that's certainly part of it.
Would you agree?
That's part of his issue.
Not part. A mental health issue is a mental health issue.
Well, that's part of his problem. That's not the whole picture. I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's part of it.
Being mentally healthy is what he has chosen within his mental state. And he looks, as I stated, I don't know if you heard about the Band-Aid. There's a Band-Aid that you can put on or get your organs fixed or stitch up or whatever, but with the head, it's totally different. I don't know where we got cut off from, but it's a good show for this morning.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
Yeah,
let's try. Thank you so much. So let's try to call Pastor Bob. Everybody wants to call him back. He did say after 10:30. It's now 10:39. Let's see if he's available. Let's go back now. Let me see. 916-5639. Hello? Hello? Pastor Bob? Hello? Are you there? Hello?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, morning. How are you? This is Sandra calling you back, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you available now?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. We're still on air, by the way. Let me make sure I tell you that.
Okay.
We just had some general questions for you about how you handle complaints about members of your congregation without getting into anyone specific. If an individual...
well, let me tell you how I handle complaints.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would bring the individual in, or individuals, and I would meet and we would sit and we would talk.
Yeah, so you're offering kind of counseling then?
Yes, because what I find is very important, as the scripture says, the first person to present his case seems right until another one comes and questions him. So what I have found in my years of ministry, as the scripture says, every word must be established in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. So I never come to judgment on things without really the parties sitting down with me and discussing it.
Yes. And if you were to hear consistent complaints from people in the community, I mean, I don't know how close you have your ear to the ground, right? But I imagine as a pastor, you probably do hear a lot, and a lot of people have access to you. If you heard constant complaints about people in their business not being, they're very unscrupulous is a term used to describe them. They're not paying their workers. They're, not paying pension. They're making workers pay work permit. Basically things that are against the law and fall under the general heading of dishonesty. And you receive numerous complaints. Is there a point in time when you try to have a very firm conversation with that individual to say, this goes against the principles of Christianity?
Oh, certainly. I would always seek to do that because, the scripture says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. But of course, I've been a pastor for over 55 years.
How many years? 55?
Oh, over that, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I have seen both sides of the coin. As a matter of fact, there's a very interesting story about this person. They made an accusation against a pastor, and after a couple of months, they realized that it was wrong, so they went and they apologized to the pastor. The pastor forgave her, but he then asked her to do something for him, and that is to take a pillow of feathers and go and scatter it at the top of from the top of a tall building. And she said, well, she did it, and when she came back, he said, well, I want you to go and collect the feathers. She said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that. So she learned her lesson. And the lesson was we have to be very careful in passing judgment because, you know, the scripture does tell us that we must be quick to hear, but slow to speak. And I tell you, I have found that many times we pass judgment without getting the facts.
But I'm just sort of wondering because it seems like some members, I don't know how big your congregation is, but some members of your congregation have a reputation where multiple people in different situations are saying they're a very unscrupulous person. You would have to admit, you know, when you're in a fact-finding mission, it does weigh heavily when multiple people from all walks of life are saying the same thing about the person's character. Oh, they're unscrupulous. They don't like to pay workers. They're this. At some point, it does make you pause, would it not?
Okay, but I tell you what I have found. I tell you what I have found out. I have found out that many times from the same source spread these rumors. And when you really investigate it, you will find sometimes there's no truth in it. And I tell you why I say that, because I have seen where people have defamed others. And when you dig at the bottom of it, there's really no basis for it. So as I said, for me, I am very, very careful in passing judgment until I get the facts.
Well, I'm hoping that this upcoming week that maybe, I don't know if you've already planned out the sermon for Sunday or not, but can you speak to some of your church people to let them know that their behavior, not only the behavior out in the world, the business and outside of the church, not only reflects on them as individuals, but it also reflects on your church. So when people say, oh, she goes to Pastor Bob's church, you know, the first thing I think of, really? Well, what kind of people Pastor Bob got going to his church? That, you know, seem to be a little bit on the dishonest side. So I wonder if you could give a general message. Like I said, we're not going to necessarily have you address anyone specifically, but perhaps you could give a general message to the congregation that they reflect. And you know what the worst part is? They reflect on what you guys are trying to do, the church as a body. And even, I mean, I try to tell people separate religion from spirituality because they're two very, very different things, but it reflects poorly on the religion of Christianity when you have these people out here in the streets doing the most, but claiming to be Christians.
But you see, I tell you what I have found. Again, I want to say this. For me, I preach a very clear message. Jesus said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. So that what we share is very biblical. We teach people, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. All things are passed away. All things are become new. And I want to say this. I'm all those who come to our church, I'm very proud and we accept them because I see the church as a hospital. People come with all different kinds of needs. You know, Jesus said, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. You look at the disciples before they came to Christ, how God did a work in them. And so my job is to prepare people to live right in this life, and most of all, to prepare them for the life to come. So the message I'm going to preach on Sunday and every Sunday is no different from what I've preached down through the years. But again, I want to say very quickly, very, very important that we do not prejudge without getting the facts.
Oh, well, we have a lot of facts here, Pastor, about some members of your congregation. And
yeah, well, I would
somebody
prefer
said if I could read this, if somebody has asked
yeah,
me to
but
read.
before I get into, I prefer not to get into.
No, I'm not giving you. No. I'm not telling you any details.
Yeah.
Someone has just asked me to read Deuteronomy 24:15 to you, which says,
Okay.
"Pay them their wages each day before sunset, because they are poor and are counting on it. Otherwise, they may cry to the Lord against you, and you'll be guilty of sin." So Deuteronomy 24:15 speaks of the necessity of paying people when they work for you, and they're just wondering if perhaps you could read that in church on Sunday and remind people of that good word as well. Pastor, I appreciate your time.
But now, just let me say very quickly, though.
Yes, sir.
We seek to preach the whole counsel of God, and I think our people understand where we are coming from. But again, I want to repeat, it's very important that we hear both sides before we come to judgment. That's why the scripture says we must be quick to hear and slow to speak.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I really appreciate it.
God bless you.
Okay, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right, dear. Bye-bye. Elijah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Final thoughts before we end the program today?
Yeah, what I wanted to do, if you have the contact to the bank, them say where she says, she write up, what you call it? Because she like to try to scam them also, where she write up invoice thing like, where she go by the order and get the cost of some material like harness and them something regardless to her rooftop. Like the bank to give her some money already, but like she use it to something that she never do it as count to what the bank give her to do. So she try to get some invoice with some tools and so forth to take back to them in order to get her next money from the bank. So you must try to bring that across too.
Well, at the end of the day, she claims that $5,000 is missing from her account. I think that if Labor Board and others are going to believe that, they should ask her for evidence of this missing money first and foremost, because, you know, she owes you money and she should just pay you. And it's as simple as that. Judy said that maybe you could call Pastor Bob. We'll send you his number, Elijah, if you wish to speak with him about the situation.
I don't have a problem.
Yes.
But she have his number. She call him. They have their personal something. See me too. Cause she make drinks on them. Something when they keeping anything at the church, and she make the drinks them and stuff here.
Anyway, good luck, Elijah. Keep us posted. We hope you get your money sooner rather than later.
I will let you know.
All
Thanks
right,
for having me.
Thanks very much. All right. So, folks, we try to help people where we can. It is quite an unfortunate situation. Again, you know, it's not right what's happening in this country to a lot of people, and I hate to say it, but a lot of people are being abused. Yesterday, I attended the RF Economic Outlook. It was extremely interesting. I'm going to play some of the segments over the coming weeks for you guys. And a lot of it is the same thing. You know, one of the speakers talked about Cayman's importation of poverty and how a lot of those people happen to be women who are supporting Caymanian women who are out in the workforce, and they're being abused and they're being subjected to all sorts of stuff. I mean, we need to have a serious coming to Jesus moment as a country where we have no tolerance, and I mean zero tolerance, for abuses of any kind. And we need to fix these things, and we need to make them a priority. We should not become a country where foreign workers will come here and get abused, sometimes by their own country people, but by whomever, that they come here and get abused and nothing is done about it. And the system is so antiquated and so slow and so unable to help. This is not right. We can't talk about we're successful as a nation if this is the kind of behavior, folks, that we are engaging in. So I would encourage Elijah, talk to the pastor. Maybe he can get through to her. I don't know. I just don't know. We'll give you his telephone number. Anyway, folks, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another segment of the Cold Hard Truth. Seems to me like there's just not a dull moment around here anymore. I tell you what. I see Miss Ann in the comment section. This is Quincy's mother. She says, good morning. This is Ann Morgan. I am unable to tune in. I just learned that my son, Quincy Brown, is being crucified. Before I get too heavily involved, I need to know before I say what I have to make clear. Until then, clean up your skeletons in your closet. How is it all of a sudden everybody has now become God and casting judgment? Well, I think you do need to go and listen, Miss Ann, to the program. Your son called into the program. So, start with that. Miss Brenda, good morning to you. She says Labor Department and Immigration, they got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. We have got to stop. I mean, look at where we are. 70,000 people, maybe 75, close to 80,000 people. We're not gone nowhere yet. And we are not able to control the abuses that are happening in this country. What could really happen when we continue to grow? Right? We gotta get this under control. We've got to stamp this out. And thank God, honestly, for people like Elijah, who instead of going and doing what he might be doing if he was in Jamaica and go and knock Miss Hazel out or worse, will message me. And if you see the number of messages I get daily begging for help, I say at least thank God those people are asking for help as opposed to doing something else, harming these individuals who owe them money. Because if you don't understand how hard it is for people to get this kind of money together, they're often borrowing money from friends and family and taking out loans and all kind of stuff with the understanding that they're going to be able to come here and work and be able to pay that back. Not that they're going to end up being scammed. And when they're left as a victim of these scammers, it's not easy. I had people in literal tears over Judith Douglas. A horrific and sad situation. People are saying they're homeless. They have nowhere to go. They're going to be living in their cars. This is not the kind of country that we want. Caller, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Miss Sandy.
Yes, ma'am.
I have. Am I on here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have an issue also. With Dr. Mazuka. Back in 2018, I went there. I was working with Marksman Security Company. They weren't paying no insurance for me. And I got sick and I had to went to Georgetown Hospital. When I went there, I didn't have no insurance. No, first I went to Dr. Mazuka. When I went there on the check, I didn't have any insurance. So I had to pay out of pocket $145. Regarding my sickness, I was admitted at Georgetown Hospital. So I went and report the security company that I was working with, Marksman, and there was a big issue with them. So Marksman, I even had to bring him to labor board, which I was settled with him. But regarding the money that I had paid at Dr. Mazuka, he also went there and he had also paid that $145. I got a call from the government building from Miss Melissa Mays. She called me in regarding some receipt to bring to Dr. Mazuka for a refund of $145. And each time I go there, the lady there is giving me pure attitude regarding the $145 that they are supposed to reimburse me for. And I am going back there today and I will keep you updated. And if not, I need you to call them up because time is really rough and hard and I need that $145 because they were paid 2 times. I have all the receipt. They were paid 2 times. I have the receipt with Dr. Mazuka's stamp, the card that was run to pay the $145, and the card that was and the money that was paid in cash. And they refused to pay back that $145. I am going there today again, and I will keep you updated regarding what they are saying to me regarding the $145.
All right. So you're saying the $145 was paid by your employer?
Yes, the $145 was paid by the employer. But before that, I had paid $145 in cash because I didn't have any insurance, so I had to pay out of pocket. Yes. So Miss Melissa Mays had informed me that they are supposed to reimburse me back my money that I had paid in cash. And each time I go there, the ladies tell me, it's okay, we are going to give you a call or we are going to send you an email and we are going to do this months now, years now, nothing. And each time I go there, the lady there is giving me pure attitude. I am going back there today, and I am going to give you a call regarding what they are saying to me today.
Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, my dear. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, not a problem. Thanks very much.
Okay.
You know, again, unfortunate people are getting it all around that it really just isn't right. I mean, honestly, it's just not right. Like she said, $145 might sound like nothing to some people, but that's a lot of money when you're poor and when you need money. And when you've already paid it twice and you've been waiting. What she said from 2008? Come now. That's shocking and unbelievable. I mean, come on. I no. As Miss Sue says, too many people are living in poverty. I hear a child in the background. That's money for formula, for diapers, for something for her child. So please, people, don't play around with people money. Lord Jehovah. Miss Vernita says, true to Miss Brenda, my people, stop letting these naysayers set us up to fight against each other. Come in, take over. Miss Ann says, thanks for responding. I will. I wonder when we will ever be able to tell our experiences of all the injustices and abuses we encounter. I have 60 years plus. Let's go. Well, you can certainly join the lineup, my dear, and join the program, because that has been the theme for this week. Anybody's free to call in and talk about whatever they want, including their abuses. But I think that, you know, on the one hand, we can't just talk about our abuses if we also are an abuser. And Miss Ann, I don't know who was abusing Quincy. He has admitted that he was the product of physical abuse, being tied up and beaten on a tree. I don't know if he's saying that you as his mother was doing that, or if you were allowing somebody else to do that. But he had enough to say this morning. So perhaps you go listen to it first before you comment any further, is what I would suggest. Good, folks. Please stay tuned for a few messages from Kevin Watler and News Buzz of the Day. Can I tell you that the topics that I had on the agenda today, unfortunately, did not get to really talk about any of those. I wanted to talk about the Cayman economic outlook. Didn't get to that. I wanted to talk about the Cubans protesting. There was a murder in Honduras. The weather radar is down again, and it looks like robberies are restarting. So let's put all those things, we'll move them over to Monday's agenda. So please tune in for Monday, because this Cayman economic outlook was amazing yesterday. Big thank you to all of the sponsors who made it possible. Someone just said that one of the sponsors was Vanguard. I did see their display on the sponsor list. I think DART was a sponsor and others. And it was an amazing event. And I must say that I learned a lot. I recorded some of the speakers so that I could share what they had to say with you all, because we can unpack a lot from yesterday's segment. So I'll share those over the coming weeks with you. We got to break it up, because some of it is very, very complex, and we got to take some time with it. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks for making us Cayman's #1 talk show. Lots of crazy moments for sure, without a doubt, but this is our reality as a people, and we're not here to cover up and to hide anything anymore. Those days are long gone, honey child. If you're interested in not speaking the truth and hiding behind whatever, go over to some other station, but it's not going to be here. All right, beautiful people, stay tuned and have a safe and wonderful weekend.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. The Department of Community Rehabilitation recently launched its new electronic risk assessment and case planning tool. GEARS, which stands for Global Institute of Forensic Research Electronic Assessment and Reporting System, will be an important part of the offender management process to provide electronic risk assessment and case management support. With the processing of passports expected to take weeks, the public is being reminded to apply for the documents with sufficient time if they intend to travel. The Passport and Corporate Service Office reminds Caymanians and residents alike who are likely to travel in the coming months to ensure travel documents are all in order before making any travel arrangements, especially during the busy travel times during Easter and summer holidays. A man who lived and worked in the Cayman Islands at Cox Lumber for several years was gunned down at his home in La Ceiba, Honduras on Wednesday. Reports are that Rodrigo Eud Lopez, who until his death worked as a boat captain in Honduras, was chased by individuals on a motorcycle who killed him when he entered his home. An enormous amount of seaweed known as sargassum, which formed in the Atlantic, is expected to dump smelly and potentially dangerous heaps across beaches in the Caribbean, putting a damper on tourist season. Although seaweed has been affecting beaches over the years, this year's sargassum issue could be the largest on record. Now for your CMR weather update. It's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:32, scattered thunderstorms and it will be breezy. When the temperature's at 81 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity at 75% like the forecast calls for, it will feel like it's in the low to mid 80s. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour, and the sun sets at 6:36. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the mid 70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit CaymanMallRoad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on the Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.